Hello, team, and welcome to Legacy 2022, Leading for a Legacy. This is session number 2, and it's either top of the morning to you or top of the evening to you, depending on where you're tuning in from. I will be your host for session 2. My name is Duncan, and I've got a couple of things that I need to ask your favor with, if you could do it for me, and that is like the live screen. So down the bottom, there is a little like button somewhere, and I need you to press that like button immediately because it helps us promote this conference to as many people who are tuning in and watching YouTube as possible. So take a moment right now and do that. The second thing I need you to do is to take 30 seconds before we do anything in this conference and like and share this link on WhatsApp, in your status. Maybe if you're on Facebook, post it to Facebook that you're tuning in for this, because we want as many people as possible to be blessed by this session. We've got some fantastic speakers. I was talking to DDK and Dr. Sam before we came on here. They are pumped up and ready to go. They've got some great wisdom for us. And so I'd love you to do that. So just take a little moment, pop a little note that you are tuning in with this link in your WhatsApp. Do it on Facebook. Do it wherever you want to do it. Share it with as many people as you want, because you know the best thing about this, it's free. Anybody, anywhere, at any time can tune in. The other thing, we want to encourage you to engage with us as much as possible. So please keep those messages coming in the comments. Keep the conversation and the dialogue going. We are going to have a couple of question and answer sessions after each of the speakers. So we'd love you to get involved in that. Don't forget to take a screenshot of all the speakers, all their little social media tags will come up down the bottom. And hey, let's keep it sensible in the chat, okay? I want you to say encouraging words. And so the last thing I want you to do for me is let me know where you're tuning in from, because Legacy 2022 is a global thing, and we want to encourage you to lead for that legacy globally. So where are you from? Where are you tuning in from? And maybe as well, while you're doing that, share a little bit of encouragement for today. Also, huge shout out to anyone who's listening on Mixler, and those who are watching on LinkedIn, which reminds me, actually, I probably need to update my LinkedIn profile. So you should get on top of that. Let those comments keep on coming in. Good to see you. Tuning in from Canada, fantastic. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And give us some encouragement. Last session for the evening, first session for the morning. Put some encouragement in the chat. We want people to be blessed as they tune in throughout the day from this. We want to see those messages and words of encouragement, because that's what we're here to do, right? Is we want to encourage you to lead better. And we do have some incredible speakers on the cards for today. I'm not one of them, and you can tell because I don't have books behind me. I've just got Lego. I'm like the court jester amongst the doctors and the professors who will be sharing their wisdom today, which is why I'm chairing the session. And it's really good to have you guys here. We got some just fantastic stuff coming up. I was looking through the program because there's not just this session. There's actually a couple of other sessions coming up after this. So session number 3, again, what we're doing is each of the sessions isn't by time, because we're a global thing. they're set up session 1, 2, 3, and 4 because some of us are tuning in later in the evening. Some of us are tuning in first thing in the morning. So coming up in session 3, we've got Wendy Burns. She's back again, and she's got a panel with her. That's going to be fantastic. Session 4 is going to be headed by Dr. Nee, Dr. Samuel, and Wendy again. And then session 5. Now, by the way, session 4 is a VIP session. And then session 5 is the big one because that's where we've got John Maxwell in there, the grand finale. So don't forget to tune in for that. That's going to be absolutely fantastic. And for each of these, one of the things that we do at the start is just take about 13 to 15 minutes to build a crowd, because that not only helps with the energy in the room and the questions that come through, but it also helps us to promote this show on YouTube, right? And that's the thing, is that imagine a person who's looking at cat videos, right? Or they're checking out the latest wood turning video, and then recommended starts to show up. It starts to trend. Legacy 22. What is Legacy 2022? And they click on that, and suddenly they hear these words of encouragement, whether it be from DDK or Dr. Sam today, whoever it might be. And suddenly, because as a community right now, we took the moment to help like and share this, they got blessed. And then they start to tag someone else. And suddenly this movement unfolds where we are connecting with people who we've never met before. And that's exactly what's going on now. There's a whole bunch of people in the chat who have never met before, and they're sharing and they're being blessed by the content that's coming through. They walk away more encouraged, more empowered as a result of this. It's that adage of iron sharpening iron. And you guys in the comments play a really significant part in this. So feel free, as you're listening to the messages and you're hearing what's going on, think about good questions that you can ask, because we're going to have a Q&A session. And I want to ask the right questions, the questions that you guys are thinking about. So pop them in the chat, share them as you see them come up, and I'll start to share them with the team in the Q&A sessions. So that's how this is going to work. If you're blessed by something, as you hear it during the message, share it in the comments. Let everyone hear something that really spoke to your heart, because that's what we're about here today, is encouraging one another, building one another up, cheering each other on, because that's part of building a legacy. So many great people I'm seeing in the comments. Grace in Philadelphia, Rayo in the United States. We've got people in Nigeria. Extraordinary. And thanks again to all the people who are on Mixler right now tuning in. It's so great to see you here. One more time, before we introduce our guest speakers for today, I want to say this. Like the live stream. Let's boost this thing. Let's get it out to as many people as possible. And then secondly, just pause for a second and share that link on social media, on WhatsApp, wherever you are. Take a moment and share it, because we want other people to jump in and be on this. Okay? They're the two things I need you to do today. And meanwhile, while the speakers are going on, make notes, make questions, because I'm going to come back and interview them. And if I don't have any questions for them, it's going to be a pretty quiet Q&A, okay? So be sure to write those questions in there. And it's so great having you here today. Again, my name is Duncan. I'll be the host for session number 2. And without further ado, let's meet our guest speakers for today.
Deji-Kurunmi is a transformational catalyst equipping a new breed of African visionaries to rise and enthrone the continent into global prominence through her work of coaching, consulting, and capacity building. She is founder of Immerse Coaching Company, Executive Director at Ideation Hub Africa, and President at Kingdom Women Global Alliance and Firebrand Movement. She is a Thomas International Certified Workplace Personality Profile Analyst, Certified Job Evaluation Analyst, and an experienced corporate trainer. She is also a certified visionary leadership coach. At Immerse Coaching Company, Debola leads a 50,000 plus strong tech-driven global community of changemakers in 99 countries, using her breakthrough coaching methodology to elevate their impact, authority, and legacy leadership. Her transformational work has been featured on TV, international news, and awards. Our second speaker, Dr. Samuel Ekundayo, is a senior lecturer, life coach, preacher, and transformational speaker. He is on a mission to inspire men and women to rob the grave of the many untapped treasures they carry, both in and out of the classroom. The mandate on his life is to help people discover their purpose so they can maximize their potential towards a fulfilled, impactful, and influential life. He is the president and founder of School of Purpose and Influence, an institution with a vision to raise men and women for transgenerational influence and impact worldwide. He is also the founder of Motor Vitality, a weekly motivational video series online with the vision of helping men and women find their purpose and maximize their potentials, reaching thousands of people weekly with over 300,000 views and counting. He has authored 6 books, including Arise and Succeed, Becoming the Champion You Are. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome DDK and Dr. Samuel Ekundayo to Legacy Conference 2022.
Well, Dr. Sam, DDK, welcome to session number 2. DDK, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling very excited. This is a dream come true. We've looked forward to this year's conference, and here we are. And thank you, Duncan, for setting us up for such a good session already.
I can't wait. Dr. Sam, I feel like we're in competition for chairs. Mine's a little more ridiculous than yours. It's got a bunny rabbit on it. But it's
no
good
comment,
to see you,
Duncan.
man. How are you feeling?
It's a joy to be here.
Number 2.
I'm feeling excited. In the words of my sis, this is a dream come true. We've prayed for this. We've looked forward to this. We're excited about what's about to happen. It's started since yesterday, and I know it can only get better, and it will get better.
Well, sister, brother, I'm going to step out of this and let you two talk, and I'll jump in at the end, okay?
Awesome, Duncan. Great stuff. Sis, it's always a joy to do anything with you, and I'm privileged and excited
100%.
For this session.
I feel the same way.
So we're going to be talking about the core and the creed of visionary leadership. But just before we get on, the team has asked me to remind everyone watching right now to please like and share this video and this audio if you're on Mixlr. Share with everyone. Shout out to those watching, listening to us on Mixlr. Shout out to those on LinkedIn. We love you. Please share and like this stream wherever you are watching or listening on. All right, we're going to be talking about the core and the creed of visionary leadership. It says, you are the visionary leadership expert. So I'm going to just ask you, what is visionary leadership? What is visionary leadership?
No, I'm no expert. Like, we're speaking last night, and I was saying, I hope I don't get on this call and I'm just saying, wow, to everything you would say, because it was so inspirational listening to you yesterday. I feel like a good place to start when I think about that definition, visionary leadership, would really be around a compelling picture of a future possibility that can elevate the quality of life for others, for yourself, for others, and the willingness to put in the work to see that future manifest. So for me, it's really around that captivating, compelling picture that you catch of a future possibility, and then the willingness to go on the path of birthing that possibility, manifesting that possibility. Every single time that a person captures a burning image in their spirit of what could be that has not yet become, and they put themselves into the context of birthing and building out that significant possibility, I'll call them a visionary leader.
And that's powerful. That's powerful. In the words of John Maxwell, is very similar to what you've just said. That a leader is someone who sees the impossible and is able to
Mm,
go the mile. Who sees what everyone else cannot see? Who sees what everyone else have not yet seen yet? Who sees it
wow.
first? Sees it before, and as a result of that, is helped a lot of other people to be able to see the possibility in whatever it is
Yes.
that they may not have seen before.
Yes.
Because this conference is based on legacy, there is a side, of visionary leadership to legacy that I would like us to also be able to paint to help people see that the core of legacy is visionary leadership.
So true.
That if we don't have visionary leadership, then we can't possibly have legacy. If we don't have
So,
people who are able to see what others do not see and walk the mile, we would not have legacy.
yes.
In fact, the fact that we're here today is because people have gone ahead of us who have
Yes.
created all of this, the tools, the technology, the vision, the everything that has made this possible for us,
Exactly.
uh,
Yes.
is an evidence of visionary leadership.
Yes. And
Uh, yes.
okay. You know what I love about the visionary leader? The visionary leader simplifies complicated things because that's
Hmm.
what vision is. Vision is elegant thinking about complicated things,
Wow.
or think about it as a vision is, um, how do I put it, democratizing what was previously unattainable. So
Hmm.
every visionary leader makes the journey easier for those coming after. There are so
Yes.
many things today that we leverage and access for the work we do, and we could not even imagine our lives without them. The technology, the tools, the resources, the
The
ways of
systems.
working,
Hmm.
the systems, even the conducive enabling environments that we have in different industries, different economies. And we are so set in the present context that we don't many times remember that it's taking those who went ahead of us, those who
Hmm.
labored ahead of us to set this context. So every single time that a visionary leader takes what is as the baseline for what could be, they
B.
are birthing the future now, and they bring in tomorrow closer, and they're
Hmm.
simplifying possibilities for those who are still coming. And I dare say that that is definitely an anchor for what legacy looks like.
Yes.
Legacy looks like creating systems and infrastructure that empower the next generation to have a leverage, you see, to
Hmm.
have an advantage that is even greater than what we had. And that is how we continue to extend the purposes of God. That is how we continue
Yes.
to cause humanity to progress and to expand its innate capacity to become great, you see. So I agree
Yes.
100% that visionary leadership will definitely always lead
Hmm.
us to legacy if we do it right. Yes.
And that's what life is all about, isn't it? I mean, life itself is very temporary and very transient. And because it is temporary and transient, it means that the finite resource of time has got to be used for something that benefits or helps the next generation to leverage on.
Yes.
Otherwise, our lives will lack
Yes.
meaning, our lives will lack
Mm,
definition. In fact, if we're to define each of our lives and we are not able to capture the productiveness of what we have spent the finite resource of time for in a way
mm.
that helps the next generation, we have not lived.
Yes.
Hence, we say
So
someone has lived
good.
an unfulfilled life because they have not been
Yes.
able to leverage that finite resource of time to create something that is infinite, to create something that is
Mm.
beyond them. So, a meaningless life is a life that lacks productivity. It's a life that lacks
Wow.
um, um, that lacks effect on the next generation. They are not able
So
to
good.
produce something that the next generation can latch onto, and that is the core of what life is about. That's the core of what legacy is about. In fact, you cannot talk about legacy without talking about visionary leadership. And of course, we're not talking about positional leadership here, because I can hear some people already probably going, but I'm not a leader. We're talking about there's something inside of you that is changeless, that life demands from you to build something that is infinite, to build something that would effect change in a constantly changing world. So
Mm,
whether it is now in our dispensation or it is in future generations, whatever it is that you
mm,
birth now with your changeless core as a leader, all right, with your every leader, all of us, we've got a changeless core. The only problem with that is many of us have not found our changeless core. So as a
so
result,
good.
we are chasing after things that changes. But the visionary leader, first of all, settles their changeless core and use that as a tool, as a leverage to birth something that will continue to be relevant in a constantly changing world. How do you
Oh
see
my
that?
God. Oh my God. This is powerful already. And to just ride on that amazing wave, a visionary leader hears a distant tune long
Mm,
before the contemporaries hear it. A visionary leader captures an image of an emerging future. Now, the
yeah.
reason that is beautiful is because a visionary leader lives in tomorrow, and you see, they live in tomorrow, they operate from tomorrow. And why that is precious is because time gets deconstructed, seasons get
Wow.
deconstructed. And it
Wow.
means that ever so often we find that the world we were born into is
Hmm.
deconstructed and doesn't exist anymore. So what it
Hmm.
means is if we don't live from the future, those who will be born in the time to come will not find
We have
the
nothing to.
foundation, will not have the basis to rise in their own time. And I
Wow.
just trust God to help me to break this down. So, the visionary leader is the bridge between today and tomorrow. Because
Oh.
when tomorrow comes, the world order of today would have been deconstructed. And so, if there wasn't someone today who was building for tomorrow, the people who would live in the tomorrow will not have a leverage, a foundation upon which to do their own work, serve
So
their own
true.
purpose,
So good.
manifest their own possibilities. Do you see? So take
Yes.
someone like John C. Maxwell for an example. I think he's
Hmm.
a powerful example. He
Eh,
has been on this path of raising leaders, and he has been, what's the word here? He has been trumpeting the leadership message long
Yeah.
before it became popular. He was like a lone voice in a wilderness for the longest time. What's this
Yes.
thing with leadership? What's this thing with leadership? I remember in year 2002, I was in the university, and
Hmm.
John C. Maxwell's academy at the time, a leadership school, had shipped copies of the leadership workbook, series 1 to 10, because I had
Wow.
written an email saying that, I saw an email at the back of one of his books that a brother had borrowed me. He was trying to ask me out. God bless him. At least he gave me the gift of that book. And I saw the
He
email.
was a visionary.
Yeah, he was a visionary. So I sent an email on my Yahoo mail to John C. Maxwell's organization saying, hey, I want to train leaders and I need a resource. And I got your email, and they wrote back to me asking for a P.O. box and saying they were going
Wow.
to deliver workbooks. And that's what they
Wow.
did. Sent me
Wow.
almost 200 copies, I think, 200 or
Wow.
300 copies.
Wow.
And that's
For
how I,
free.
for free. They gave me workbooks, and it had a series 1 to 10 on
Hmm.
leadership. And that's what I used to train at the time. We were called God's Great Girls Network.
Wow.
Now, today, the conversation around leadership is gone viral. But there was
Yes.
a
Yes.
man who caught the image of how transformational visionary leadership
Leadership.
would be
Hmm.
if he waited until there was a need,
Hmm.
before he started to trumpet this leadership message, it would have been too late.
It would have been too late.
We have an
Ooh.
entire infrastructure
Mm.
that can equip anyone to become a leader. Look at the corruption, look at the rot, look at the need, look at the political inefficiencies, look at the market
Yes.
inefficiencies that exist in our
Yes.
world today, and see how much with the ease with which we can access the resources that can grow anyone into a true visionary transformational leader. That's the
Wow.
power of seeing the
Wow.
future and bringing tomorrow to today.
Today.
A time will come where the world order that you're living in will be deconstructed, and you must have something for those coming.
Then this is very powerful. I love the John Maxwell example because it really shows that at the heart of legacy is visionary leadership.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's impossible to leave true legacy without being a visionary leader, without being able to capture something from tomorrow, bring it into today, and democratize it in such a way that everyone has access to it and is able. If I remember John Maxwell's story very well, he took what people used to call leadership from Peter Drucker's, definition of management that went viral in Peter Drucker's day. Because it was all about positional leadership until John Maxwell came and started to shift it into what we now know as transformational leadership, to leadership not being about a position, about management, to being about people and influence. And look at us today. We're still making reference that and the example that you gave, so powerful. And I love how you said it. Time, if you don't do what you need to do within time, it can become too late. And time is a very critical factor in terms of being a visionary. Somebody is listening to this right now, and we are asking you this question. What is it have you seen about tomorrow that you can begin to work on, bring it into today, democratize it, and help the future generation leverage on it?
Oh my God.
I think one of the problems of our generation is the mind or mental infrastructure to deconstruct the vision in our hearts of tomorrow.
Yes.
Let me say that again. I think one of the problem of our generation is we've been so distracted by the mundane that we're unable to develop our mental infrastructure enough to deconstruct what we see about tomorrow and democratize it or bring it into today for the next generation. Could you help speak to that a bit as well too, in terms of how do we in our current generation develop our mental infrastructure to be able to interpret, deconstruct that tomorrow, bring it into today, democratize it, and make it useful for the next generation?
Dr. Sam, you're hitting all the right notes, and it's just so breathtaking. I feel like one of the things that I find in my work, with visionaries, and we run an accelerator program, it's 40 weeks long. And I do find people who'd actually be like, why would you have
40 weeks?
40 weeks? That's an entire, literally almost a whole year. And these visionaries go through a comprehensive mentorship and coaching system that really presses out their mission and then gives momentum to that mission. And what I find, riding again the waves of what you've just shared, is that it's called the tyranny of the ordinary. One of the biggest oppositions to a life of vision and the pursuit of vision is the tyranny of the ordinary. There is an appeal that the ordinary actually has, and it has been sort of strengthened by the very broken success matrix that our generation is measuring life and people by. If you take a social media algorithm and analytics of, for example, hashtag goals, that hashtag, what you're going to find behind and beneath hashtag goals will break your heart. And what I mean is what our generation and those coming after celebrate and honor and commend as goals. are very mediocre, without
Mundane.
substance, and very mundane. So you have a lot of appeal, recognition, reward, and award for the ordinary. Do you see? For
Yes.
looking good, having fantastic, ideas, being great at packaging, nice brands, you see, and then amassing the appeal and the following of a large majority. So a life of vision requires embracing obscurity.
Yes.
It requires investing time in the silent laboratory of vision, building quietly, you see, without acclaim. It requires being willing to take the path of high resistance. It requires being perceived as weird, and you see, because to be significant, you can't want to be safe and significant at the same time. And that's what many people are trying to do. They
You
don't want
can't
to
be
account.
safe and
It's
significant
impossible. You
at
see,
the
so
same
there's
time.
so many people who say that they want to be visionaries and they want to be visionary leaders, but who are not interested in the years of obscurity, the years of building quietly.
Of work.
They're not interested in the mastery of genius that requires a rigorous procedure of fine-tuning your expertise under creative
Until it develops into mastery.
until it develops into mastery. So there's averageness and there is mass mediocratization that is ongoing in our generation, and underneath or behind it is hashtag goals. Now, so what am I saying? You could actually be on your path to visionary leadership, but in the beginning be unpopular, even unaccepted, and you could go through what feels like a season of suffering, a season without proofs. But not many people want that. People want proof, people want popularity, people want people to follow them. So if you are on the path of proofs, popularity, and the approval of people, you might be derailed from purpose. You might be derailed from destiny. If you are building to last, then you are not in the game for the short, you're in the game for the long haul. You're not playing a short-term game. And many times,
and you're not playing a people-pleasing game as well.
And you're not playing a people-pleasing game. But look, if you are going to be in it for the long haul and you're not playing a short-term people-pleasing game, then your matrix would have to change. But the matrix, many times, how we're defining success, many times, for many people, will derail you off the path of visionary leadership. If you're, and I'm going to give you a few examples, right, before I hand it back to my prof, right? Because
please.
Many people say that they want to be significant and they want to mark their generation and make an imprint that will be transgenerational and live beyond them. But here is what they are fighting for. They want to be approved by people. They want to have a large following immediately. They want to have their names behind something that is fine sounding and rewarded and awarded. So when they're not getting awarded, when they're not getting recognized, when they don't have the massive following and appeal, they feel like they are not making progress.
They are not making progress. They are not successful.
Yes, they are not successful. The moment you misinterpret the true matrix for success, you are likely to be derailed, because visionary leadership, exactly, may put you on a path that doesn't immediately appear successful, but will birth
that is lonely at the beginning.
Yes. 100%.
Wow. I want to touch on something you mentioned in terms of the tyranny of the ordinary in our generation, and the fact that many of us in our generation are not willing to be lonely when it comes to our vision, in order to develop ourselves in the laboratory of greatness, something that would develop into mastery. And I think the core of that is focus. Many people have not learned to focus on what is within them to birth what will be without them, so to speak. People are rather focused on what is external to them, and they're not taking time to build on what is internal, what I refer to as the changeless core. A visionary leader must, which we're going to talk about, what is this changeless core? A visionary leader must learn to discover, to develop, and deploy your changeless core. Without discovering, developing, and deploying your changeless core, it's impossible for you to be known in your generation and generations to come. It's literally impossible to birth greatness. That's the truth. It's impossible to become a master at what you do. And permit me to say, is the fact that to become a master at anything, you've got to be a student of that thing.
Hey.
Yes, to become a master at anything, you've got to be a student of that thing. Those we call master, those we refer to as masters today, they were first students. They were first people who sat down to want to know everything possible there is to know about their domain. They are people who are so hungry that the mundane cannot distract them from the ordained. They are people who are so driven by the legacy they want to leave for the next generation that they are not moved by people pleasing and people approval. And they study, they take their time. They are not worried by a 40 weeks course. If it's something that will benefit their future and the greatness that they are incubating, they stay. Like at the School of Purpose and Influence as well, we have a 15 weeks course, and we have hundreds of people enroll at the beginning, and all of a sudden you start seeing many of them drop off because we live in a generation where we lack staying power. The moment is more than 2 minutes, 3 seconds even, they're gone. All right, they cannot watch a video like this, and stay and be present. They would rather watch that at the same time, tune on the TV at the same time, and not miss that particular show that is going on. Whereas there's this one about their greatness, about their future, that they would rather miss. We live in that sort of generation that is lacking focus, that are not willing to be the students of their domain enough to develop mastery, because it's impossible to birth anything that will last generations if you don't develop mastery. It's literally impossible. You must be that person. Forgive me, in the words of Apostle Paul, said, "This one thing I do, I forget everything that is behind and around, and I press." The word "press" there is very powerful. It means pursue. Says, have you ever been pursued like by an angry dog before? It happened to me one time where, an angry dog pursued me. The dog was hell bent on, on getting me. That's the same way we must pursue our destiny. That's the same way we must pursue legacy with sheer passion, with sheer anger, enough to be the student of what we carry, enough to be able to birth that greatness that is not yet seen, that we can democratize for the next generation.
Yes, so good. Just so
let's talk
good.
about the core. Sis, let's talk about the core. Let's give people something to take away. If we're going to lay our hands on what the core of visionary leadership is, what will be the core of visionary leadership?
I put it back to you. I want to hear from you first.
Okay, all right. I took it down to 3 things, and these 3 things are just what I would call the umbrella-like definition of the core of visionary leadership. I call it love, faith, and hope. And I got that from a biblical scripture that says that these 3 things last forever: love, faith, and hope. And the greatest of it is love. And I'll just quickly try to define the 3, and says you can speak to it as well later. Love, it's impossible to do anything that will last without love. In fact, Remove love from any equation, and that thing has already failed, even before it starts.
So good.
If we're not building because we have love for people, love for the next generation, to see, people get it right, to see people grow, to see people become all that they are created to be, then it's impossible to build anything that will last. We're talking about time being finite, right? So if we want to build something that will last beyond our generation, beyond our time, it's got to have love as a component. Add love to any equation, and that equation will be
Yes.
successful. Let's talk about faith as well. Um, one of the core ingredient that is also missing in our generation, that I believe every visionary leader must have, is faith. You must believe in what you're doing. You must first of all believe in what you carry, believe in what you've been shown, believe in what you see that other people cannot see. In the words of my sis the other time, you must be willing to be lonely. There would come time that many of the people around you, including your parents and your best friends, will not see what you've seen.
Yes.
And it is faith that will hold you, that will hold you up and help you to stay through in there. Faith is very critical, and hope is, oh my goodness. If there's anything that is gradually fading away in our generation, is hope. I live in New Zealand, and New Zealand has one of the highest rates of suicide per capita in the world. I think we're second in the world. And it's crazy because we're just 4.5, 4.6 billion people, million people, sorry. Yet we're struggling with hope. My wife works in a mental health facility, and she sees 8-year-olds depressed. 8-year-olds depressed, 12-year-olds depressed. It's impossible to build something for the next generation if we lack hope. And hope stems from purpose. Hope stems from knowing that you were created for a reason, and that reason is why you exist. And the fact that you're alive is because you are needed. And the fact that you are needed means that there is something you've got to do for the next generation. Sis, let me let you speak to that core.
Oh, wow. What? Now that is it. You heard it. It's love, faith, and hope. And in the Visionary Compass Accelerator program, one of the anchors and one of the strongest in fact, the operating system that we teach as a fundamental principle for a visionary, for a leader, for a world changer, a transformative voice, for this generation, is love. We say that love is the operating system of vision. I feel like if we get this right, before we even master the art or the science of visionary leadership, before we learn all of the key inputs that come to into building what would stand the test of time, if there is love in your heart, if love is the motivation for the change that you want to create, love for your community, love for your country, love for your content, love for a people, love for an industry, 100%, you have set yourself on the path of legacy, because love never fails. Love never fails, you see. And as long as you stay anchored, very anchored on love as an operating system, it's going to let me speak to three things that I have seen love create for visionary leaders. The first is that love brings you into the realm of God. Actually, can we just be upfront and really say that any true transformational vision that has the capacity to impact generations is a word. The word vision in that context can be used interchangeably with revelation, because literally vision is like catching a glimpse of an unfolding possibility in the heart of God that He intends to release and hand over to people, to a nation, a generation, an industry. Do you see? So love brings you into the realm of God. When you are, the moment you are moved, you're stirred with compassion to say, how can we make this
a
solution birth? When you catch that burden, you enter into the realm of God, because that's his electromagnetic field. That's who it is.
I like that.
As you enter into the realm of God, you begin to see what exists at the realm of God. I beg you, as you go about your life, and as you pursue this visionary leadership path, let us settle something very quickly. There is another place where we pull things from into the realm of men to help men. What men require to fix their perpetual crisis is not in the realms of men. It is in another realm.
Another realm.
I'm telling you. So when you enter into the realm of God by love, and guess what? This is not a religious conversation. I'm not saying
no
Christian Muslim. No, I'm saying this is how God operates. Love makes you gravitate into the orbit of God. And when you enter into that orbit, you float into that orbit, you begin to see what exists at that realm. There are technologies in that realm. There are things in that realm. There are tools in that realm. There's a thinking. You see. And you start to pull those things into the realm of man. If you have ever had an experience in your life, and put in the chats for me if it's ever happened to you, if at any time in your life you've been able to do something that people went wow about, and it came from your inside, and even you had to be saying, really, was that me? Where did
how did I come about that?
Just know that you were interacting with the realm of God. And it doesn't matter if whether you prayed or didn't pray, like, oh, I didn't even feel spiritual. No. Because desire welled up in your heart to create change. You gravitated to the orbit of love, the realm of God, and you start to pull out. My God, Dr. Sam, Dr. Sam, I sit on boards.
yes.
And I'm currently consulting for a number of African governments on policy making. I'm telling you that I have created frameworks, original blueprints, roadmaps that came from the realm of God.
Yes.
And these government leaders, they'll be going whole high like, wow. But I know in my heart.
This is where I pulled it from.
Yeah, I'm not a custodian of independent thought, and I don't claim to be. But I have access to a realm where answers come from. It's powerful. Amen. So the visionary inside visionary leadership really speaks to an affinity for drawing out thinking, tools, technology,
dimensions.
From the realm of God. Dimensions.
Payata.
And guess what? It takes pursuit, it takes time, and it takes mastery to convert assets from the realm of God into utilities in the realm of men. This is about the biggest signature of a growing visionary leader. That
mastery, pursuit, time. Did somebody catch that? Mastery, pursuit, time to convert. You can get it, but you may not be able to convert. Wow.
So what separates the boys from the men is that conversion. Visionary leadership is about that conversion, where you can take revelation, where you can take distinct, unique ideas and give it industrial coefficients.
In the realms of God and convert.
Yes.
Wow.
So you take it from realms of God and you now say, how does this apply for hospitality? That's how industry, mastery, and emergence,
engineering, technology, science. Wow.
Yes. So, yes. Love does that. I'm just going to stop on the first
Wait.
one.
Sis, we will come back because you told us 3 things love does for us. Number 1, the realm of God, right? Access to the realm of God to put things. Yes, 2 more. Give us that 2 more.
Okay. The second thing that love does for you is it refines you and takes out the dross. Love refines you. Love. Look, we are all great in potential state. There's greatness on the inside, but it is hiding beneath dross. It's hiding beneath broken paradigms, trauma, fear, suspicion, mistrust, indiscipline, laziness, emotional fragility. It's hiding underneath a lot of things. Love refines you and it purifies the dross on an ongoing basis. It purifies your motive. It keeps you out of the
Yes.
competition lane. I think it's one of the most
Mm.
powerful things in my life. I have never been caught in the web of comparison because I am not in competition. You see,
Yes.
I'm
Secure.
so secure and firmly established in my role while honoring all of the amazing co-laborers all around me, all around the world who are on the pursuit of a similar mission. And every time we connect, every time we ever interact, it's just this iron sharpening iron. I just love it. Just like I love speaking to you. I love speaking to Dr. Nii Borire.
Yes.
I drop the call and I'm like, hey, my God.
Mm.
So love does that. And we need it. We need
Mm.
it. Every true visionary leader who
Needs
will go the long haul needs the purifying power of love. It
of
shapes your
love.
character. It keeps you
Mm.
firmly established. It defines your territory, confines the boundaries of
Yes.
operation. Because without a very firmly established sense of security, you will experience what is called either a mission stretch or a mission creep. Now, what that
Hmm.
looks like is without being firmly established in a sense of your vision and
Mm.
assignment, which love produces in you, you will either feel like, in comparison to what others are doing, yours is so small that you start to shrink,
Yeah.
or you will look at what is popular and you'll be like, maybe I should just do Control C, Control
And
V.
match and match and match what I'm
You
seeing.
start to step into arenas you were never called into,
Mm.
and you're trying to become Bobolishe. And I'm going to try to just say something everyone can get, but you become this person who is not anchored on it
Mm.
within
People
a
pleaser.
changeless core. You
Mm.
see, you're trying to be everything to everyone. So love does this thing that is powerful. It purifies your intention. It solidifies your character. It pre-qualifies you for greatness because you learn to serve. It's never
Yes.
about a name that you are trying to
Mm-hmm.
build. It's never about an empire you are trying to build. And when greatness, influence, and affluence begin to emerge on the basis of who you are becoming, you know how to steward them because they require
Yes.
stewardship. The third thing that love does, and this one is precious,
Mm.
love has an affinitive effect. It will pull in your direction those that you are sent to and those who are sent to you.
Sent to you.
It is
Mm.
powerful. Love has an affinitive effect. I've experienced this in my life
Mm.
so much and in my vision, and I'm so grateful for it. You know, when we were speaking yesterday, when we were exchanging how has the season
Yes.
been, I was like, hey, Dinik, I have some things I have to teach you because I'm learning some things. I'm like, bring it. And you were asking, how are you doing on your side? I said one of the things I'm most grateful for about the last maybe about 18 months is the amazing degree of elegance that my
Mm-hmm.
systems have and the
Mm.
brilliance of the people, the loyal hands and hearts who have partnered with me, you know, to birth vision and to build out significant assignments. It is a joy. It's a joy for you as a visionary leader to begin to pull in those who will build with you. There are at least
So true.
10 people DNAs. And I teach that in some of my flagship programs. 10 people
That you
DNAs
must pull.
that
Mm.
you must pull into your circle to be able to really go transgenerational with your vision. I'll stop there.
Wow.
But yes, those are
Wow.
three powerful things that vision will do. So I love it.
Oh my goodness, our time is almost up, and we want to give people the opportunity to ask questions. So if you're watching this right now and you've heard anything today, you want to know more, you want to get into some depths, you want to get some clarity, please leave your questions in the comment. All right, uh, and then Duncan will come up shortly and to take those questions as well. I think it's about time to have Duncan come through, and then we could go from there. So is there anything you would like to say before Duncan comes up?
No, I'm happy
All right,
to have
awesome.
him.
Duncan,
Yes.
over to you.
Guys, really good. I made some notes. DDK really early on said these three things, and I thought this was great: to elevate life, to see future possibility, and then birthing that possibility. I love that. And then later on, Dr. Sam, you said that the keys to the core of legacy leadership is love, faith, and hope. Okay. So to elevate life is to love, to see future possibility is faith. Okay. And then birthing that possibility is hope. Right?
Oh my
That's so
God.
good, Duncan. I love.
Here's the thing, right? As a parent, we're all, I'm a parent. I've got a couple of kids. That's why I'm rocking a pink chair for my daughter. Is because in birthing that possibility, we have hope for the future, right?
Yes.
And so then we underpin that with this knowledge and love that we have in Jesus, right? Because one of the challenges that you were saying is that comparison steals joy. Okay. And this is the problem that we have, right? Is that we get obsessed with how many likes are we getting on this right now, right? And we get obsessed with that. But we've got one person who loves us, the creator of the universe, who is incomparable. So why should there be any point in comparing? Because we know that the incomparable loves us.
Yes.
That gives us an incredible framework for us to live out this place where we can build into people elevating life in love, okay? To cast a future possibility that is more preferable today. That's faith. And then helping a person birth that possibility is the hope, right? Extraordinary. I just saw it unfold as you guys were speaking.
Really good,
Like,
really good, Duncan.
amazing.
Really good, really good.
All right, we've got a few questions. Here's the first one up on stream from Stephanie. How do I define my vision? I have the desire to see people grow from mediocrity to excellent and birthing greatness. Guys, speak to it.
So good.
I think the vision is already defined.
Exactly.
DK. The vision is already clear. And that's it. You just need to run with that vision. Put it into a personal statement, somewhere you see it every day. Affirm it to yourself as much as possible, and begin to go about becoming a student of that domain, of that vision. We talked about that earlier on. That's how you develop mastery. You become a student of. I can't see that again. You become a student of excellence. Taking people out of mediocrity into excellence. So you become a student of the subject of excellence. You want to read every book about excellence. You want to listen to everyone possible about excellence. You want to know everything and ins and outs of excellence, such that you can now help people birth excellence and go from mediocrity to excellence. That's how I would.
Yes. I think
one of the important things is when you read, right, is you read broad. Is sometimes you read something that you don't necessarily agree with. Okay, is that sometimes reading those books that you don't completely agree with helps to shape a much broader vision, because there's something within those books that you didn't ever think about before in terms of perspective that you add into your thinking, which I guess, DDK, gets back to your idea of 10 people's DNAs. Right? To have 10 people's DNAs in your life means that there's probably a couple in there that you're only 80% on board with, right?
So
but they sharpen you and grow you to be bigger than what you imagined you could be. Is that right?
So true. Yes, very true. Very true. Very true, Duncan.
So well said.
Okay, so fantastic. Let's get another question up. I've got one here. What system process has helped you pull things? There we go. What system or process has helped you pull things from the realm of God?
We could be here an entire night exploring that, but if I could speak to three things that have maybe had a very defining effect and which could be used by everyone, that really just sharpens your visionary capacity. That's how I'd love to answer that question. What are the things that have the capacity or the ability to sharpen your visionary capacity so you can pull more? The first that I know is worthy of exploring is the power of solitude, sabbathing. You see, there's a lot of noise in our world, and there are many voices. So to step into the realm of God, it means that you're seeking the voice. You see, you're seeking the voice. And I could go on into something really powerful as well, which is all around your visionary portals. Maybe I'll treat it as a sub of this first. But the first central thought here that I'll love you to hold and to explore is to begin to ask yourself, what architecture, what elegant design can I set up in my life that allows me and affords me opportunity for solitude, for quietness, for inquisition, for sabbathing, for stepping back to seek the face? You see, it was something that I feel like was a part of the generations before us a lot more. The concept of seeking counsel, leaning in and pursuing and longing to hear, to discern, you see. So we need to reorganize our life. This is the singular most powerful thing that changed about me in 2019. And from that point, Dr. Sam Duncan, the difference is so staggering that my friends say it feels like I evolve every 6 months. Like it's DDK 10.0, 20.0.
The power of solitude.
I reordered my life architecture to afford time. That's a big part of what I am buying time for. I'm strengthening my productivity, hiring for it so that I can have a room. That's what it's for me about. So I believe that works. The second thing is to discern your visionary portals, i.e., we hear differently. Some people are driving and they just pick highlights. If that's you, you begin to journal it a lot more. Some people get their best insights first thing in the morning. Some people
in the shower.
in the shower. Some people hear when they're listening in a conversation to others. Some people gain mastery and receive vision. I mean, I don't want to speak to mastery yet. Some people receive visionary clarity while reading. And guess what? A number of people fall into this category, but they don't feel like it's visionary clarity happening because it feels like it's academic, it's research, like I'm reading. But the realm of God is opening up right in the midst of reading. By the way, anyone who doesn't like to read, I don't want to meet you. Like how?
Which, by the way, you can only do in solitude, right? Like, I mean, the reality, you can't read well in a room full of noise and crazy.
So you have to make out that space in your life. A second thing that I know strengthens your visionary capacity is to find your forerunners, find your progenitors, find your leaders, find voices that have been sent to you. This thing is real. Humanity is connected, but there are tribes within humanity.
Wow.
If in
Find your tribe.
Course, you ever find a person or a group of people who make your baby leap, it's a miraculous experience. It doesn't happen every time. But if you ever listen to someone and you're like, oh, what? Oh my God. And you start to burn, go after them.
Stay.
Go after them. Stay there. Because in listening, you will hear for destiny. You will hear for vision. The third is clarity comes in the midst of execution. Have an execution bias. Take the little that you know, start to work with it, start to run with it, and it will begin to evolve and unfold, and you would see more and know more.
You know, I think one of the biggest challenges, DDK, is people get solitude and isolation confused, right? Because isolation is a reactive thing. So what happens is when you feel overburdened, overstressed, overwhelmed, you isolate, right? And it's unhealthy because you try and shut down just so you can find that solitude. The flip side, solitude is a proactive attitude to say, I'm going to take some time out before I feel overwhelmed and create a space where I can have that encounter with God, right? Is that you say, I'm going to pause.
One is intentional. The other one is just reactive to stress.
That's right. Yeah.
So good.
Very good.
And one happens after you are already overwhelmed. One happens so that you don't get overwhelmed.
Exactly. And that's solitude, not isolation. Yeah.
Yeah. So good. So good.
Awesome.
All right. I had a question in here. Okay. Could you speak to practicing the mastery of genius while having multi-expressions?
Okay.
Don't even ask me to clarify what that means, but that's big.
I wrote a book, and I want to recommend it to that
Exactly.
person. The book is
Yes,
titled "Your Problem Is That You're Multi-Talented." That's the title of
yes.
the book. Your problem is that you're multi-talented, and I wrote the book because many people struggle with their many giftings and many talents, and oftentimes it becomes like a curse instead of a blessing. And that was the story of my life for many years, right? Because I'm a very multi-talented, multi-expression person. I dance, I sing, I write music, I write poetry, I speak, all these things, and I was confused at the time, wondering which one of them is really what I'm supposed to do. So I'm just going to quickly summarize the book, but of course you cannot get the depth of the book now in 2 minutes until you buy the book yourself and read it. But the core of that is find which of your giftings is more connected to your purpose. All right. Which of your, I call that your most dominant gift or your most dominant gifts. Sometimes it could just be one, sometimes it could be two or three. Focus on those or that one first. So, for instance, mine was speaking and writing, and as soon as I realized these are my dominant gifts, right? If I sing, like, probably it would take a while for people to buy my album or buy buy my single. But if I speak, people pay attention. All right. In the book, I shared, I think, about 5 or 4 tests to find your dominant gift. So get the book and you would understand what I'm trying to say. So find your most dominant gift and focus on that to start with. Build a brand with that one. All right. Focus on it. Develop mastery in that one. Become a student of that. And then you would realize that when you build influence on from that gift, now you can begin to leverage other gifts, all right, to help you build mastery. So for instance, now I don't confuse people. When I just started out, I wouldn't sing out loud. I wouldn't come out to the open and bring my keyboard and sing, because then I would confuse people. Is this guy a musician or a singer or what? Or is he a preacher at the same time? All right. But now that I've grown a brand as a speaker, okay, now you see me sometimes sing and bring the keyboard. I'm no longer confusing people. But if I did that at the beginning, I probably would never have a solid and an effective brand.
I think that's really helpful, man.
Oh,
One of
good.
the
So
challenges
good.
coming out of, I worked in Brekkie Radio for ages, was that media is monochromatic. So when someone encounters you on media, they don't see you, from my perspective, as a comedian, as a jiu-jitsu black belt, as a pastor, as a communicator, as a radio host. They only see you as one of those elements. And one of the challenges is to say, okay, well, no, I'm a radio host, and that's where it is. And then later on, the little green shoots of all those other things can start to come in. But unless they've gone on the journey with you and can connect on one of those points, because media is monochromatic, then you don't have the ability to share all those
You
things.
lose
It
them.
just feels like noise, right? That's good,
So
man.
true.
It's really good.
Thanks, Doctor.
DDK, can you throw some more light on the concept of DNA that you mentioned earlier? I'm guessing
I've
the
got it
10
in
people's DNAs.
yeah, I've got it in a resource called Unbundling the Decade. That's where I teach the 10 people DNAs. So it's something to explore, but it's just speaking to the different types of people that you need to birth your vision. Um, you need advisors to birth your vision. You need executors to birth your vision. You need critics to birth your vision. You need
Wow.
resource mobilizers to birth your vision. You need crusaders to birth your vision. And you need people of means to birth your vision. You need co-laborers who have expertise and skills. So you just need to recognize what people can offer and what their role is. The biggest challenge that I find when it comes to visionary leaders managing relationships is we always want, we sometimes build sentimental alliances, people that we like and like us. You see, and I feel like it's stressed a lot of visionary leaders because they are stuck with loyal but mediocre people sometimes. They're loyal, they love you, but they don't have what it takes to move that vision to the next level. And then there are visionary leaders who don't like to be challenged, who want to be the brightest in the room, and so they just limit and put a cap on the potential and the talent of the people that they could rally and build with. And then The visionary leader also has to recognize that you will need comrades, and comrades are not confidants. They are not for you, they are for what you are for. You see, so it's about this thing.
That's good.
You know,
That's real good.
yes. So if you
That's
take
so
a
good.
comrade for a confidant, you're then going to just be hurt sometimes because you're letting your guards down where you should not. You are having expectations that are unrealistic, and then you will also have people that they are fascinated by the image of who you are, and they even though they're the ones who could show up and rally behind you and crusade your vision and announce you and scream you, but what they can do that you have to be careful about is called identity theft. The people who have, this idealistic image of you, and it's a degree of hero worship, and they adore you and love you and what you represent, they begin to project that image that they have of you, and they almost challenge you to shift from being who you truly are to become this celebrity that they want you to be by everyone. So a visionary leader has to resist that intentionally. That I know what I'm for. Yeah. And as young as I am, that's already even started happening to me, and I'm always just being like, nope, I'm not leaving to an image. I'm leaving to fulfill a mission.
Wow, that speaks to the changeless core we talked about earlier on, right?
Yes,
That change,
yes.
knowing your changeless core and sticking to it. Otherwise, you'll be moved by the changes around, by what people are saying, and so on and so forth. The essence of true leadership is knowing your changeless core and sticking to it.
Can I ask a question of you two? So I think one of the challenges you have is you cast this compelling vision as a leader, okay, and then you start to take people on a journey to birth that possibility. But the scenery changes, okay, because you have not yet arrived at the destination, okay. And I think a good analogy of this is probably leading the people out of Egypt to the promised land, okay. You can find yourself in a desert for a long period of time, and vision starts to drift and dissipate because you're not where you're called to be, and you're not where you were, which is now starting to look really preferable to where you are now. How does a leader speak confidence and love into a people who have not yet arrived and are feeling the pains of the journey?
Oh, wow.
Wow. Duncan.
That's a great question.
They booked me for a reason.
That's a very powerful question.
Powerful. That's a powerful question. I think before Dr. Sam digs into it, because, he's the guy for the question. What I would love to do is, the one thing that really stands out for me from personal experience is in my journey toward becoming a visionary leader and leading a people, and visionary leadership, one of the anchors of visionary leadership is your capacity to rally a troop, to show a people a future possibility and get them loving that future possibility more than their present reality. Do you see? That's what moves everyone in that direction and gets them building, making the sacrifices, etc. So I find that how I'm able to help the people who are in my community, who look up to me, who I'm building with, and even the larger collective, right, who I may not have direct contact with, but who have access to my thought leadership. The way that I often help them, navigate the pains of the process before the pleasure of purpose and what is waiting ahead of them, is to always keep the image of the future compelling. That's how it's worked for me. Every single time I'm able to remind people, why are we on this path together? Why are you determined to emerge on the other side? What's that other side? The moment we refresh what the other side looks like, you see, I've been building, at Ideation Hub Africa for the last 2015, the last 7 years. I've been working with social innovators, nonprofit leaders, and those who work in communities, right? and they go through really difficult experiences without a lot of support. And I find that every time we hit that point again where they want to throw in the towel and they're tired, the moment, and my project director just commented right now, salute to you, Tony Banjo, she's doing a phenomenal work. The moment we start to show them again what Africa could become, what Nigeria could become, what Tanzania could become, what South Sudan could become, and what their role is, which was why they signed up on the journey of becoming social reformers in the first place. There's a new energy, there's a new pick me up that helps them get through, those seasons, and that will be my contribution.
It's good.
I echo the same sentiments, Duncan. And for me personally, I remind myself of why I started. I think many times, I always say that anytime I'm making a major change in my life, I'm usually in between two mountains, a smaller mountain and a bigger mountain. And in between two mountains is a valley. And every one of us, if you're going to grow, if you're going to become great, you've got to always learn to move in between mountains. And there will be valley moments. In that valley, you've got to always remind yourself why you started that journey. And that why for me is purpose, the purpose for the journey. And interestingly, purpose is the only security in life because it's the only thing that doesn't change. A lot of things change, but purpose centers those three things we talked about earlier on: the love, the faith, and the hope. All right, it doesn't change. It literally doesn't change. And when you keep that in perspective, just as DDK mentioned, you keep that in perspective on the journey, or you're helping the people that you're leading to keep that in perspective, then they are likely to stay in the game and likely to stay on the journey.
That's awesome. It's really good. Dr. Sam, DDK, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I'd love to talk to you for a bit longer, but unfortunately, we've got to get to a couple of other things. Guys, thanks for blessing us. The chat has been blowing up, and I think you've blessed a lot of people all around the world. Really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. It's been a pleasure being here with you.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Well, just before we get to our next speaker, team, I want to say it's been great. Don't forget, if you haven't done it, share this. We've still got a little bit left in the session. Fela is about to come up and join us in a second. But we want to draw your attention to a few things. Dr. Niyi has some stuff for us, so tune into this.
Thank you for being a part of Legacy Conference 2022, hosted by the incredible Dr. Deji-Kurunmi. Dr. Niyi is a foremost leadership expert in the area of neuro-leadership, neuro-change, and neuro-performance for business executives and career professionals. Some of Dr. Niyi's life-changing materials are the Brain, Mind, and Change series, which consists of 10 modules from Dr. Niyi and other insightful facilitators. Visit legacyconsult.com.au/products to get yours at a 50% discount. Also available is the Neuroscience of Peak Performance by Dr. Niyi and one of Australia's leading neuro leadership coach, Kristen Hansen. Visit legacyconsults.com.au/products to get a 50% discount. You can also get 3 months exclusive one-on-one coaching with Dr. Niyi, or you can choose to join a group coaching call. Visit legacyconsults.com.au/products to book your slot. Finally, you can get Dr. Niyi's books, Navigating Change, Victoria Ercerta, and Hager on Amazon. And you can pre-order your copy of his new books, Changing You and Overcoming. All products and materials are available at a 50% discount only during this conference. This includes a special masterclass that Dr. Niyi and Kristen Hansen will be hosting on the 20th of September, titled The Neuroscience of Leadership and Influence. Visit niyiborire.com/neuroperformance for more information and to book your slot. You don't want to miss it.
I mean, that's the great thing about a conference like this one, is it's not just about one session. It's not just about one speaker. I mean, we're all excited for the final session where John Maxwell gets to share, but that's not the point. Is that we want to resource and we want to equip you so that you can be that kind of legacy leader in your community, wherever that might be. Okay, is there's an opportunity here to grab a hold of some incredible resources, and they're there for you. They're there to help you grow into the leader that God is calling you to be. And so go and check them out. Go and check out all those resources. I want to encourage you to do that. Don't forget, keep on sharing this link. Keep on talking in the chat, because it only helps us to promote this on YouTube so more people can be blessed by the speakers we have here today. And on that note, I want to introduce our next speaker. Here he is.
Fela Durotoye is an executive coach, leadership expert, global speaker, and nation builder. He is the founder and CEO of the Gemstone Group and an official member of the Forbes Coaches Council. FD, as he is fondly called, is renowned for his unique style of blended mentoring and coaching to help business and impact leaders achieve exponential growth in their key success parameters. As a leadership expert, FD is currently on a mission to help 1 million people develop their leadership capacity and connect them with opportunities for exponential growth so that they can achieve excellent results and outstanding success in their personal and professional lives. FD is a guest lecturer on leadership at the prestigious Stanford University, and he is an alumnus of Harvard and Yale University. He is also an accomplished author who has several of his best-selling books published on Amazon. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Fela Durotoye to Legacy Conference 2022.
FD, how you doing?
Hey. Hi, Duncan. Oh my,
FD.
wow. Can you hear me?
Mate, yeah, I can. Listen, I got a question for you before we get into your talk. You have to build these capacities into leaders. What's the one capacity that you feel like you spend the most time having to sow into the leaders that you work with?
I would say it's the character. It's you realizing that your character is your ability to not only live excellently, but also to lead excellently. Because what happens is when you build your own capacity through your character, that's who you are when no one else is watching. It's your character that comes out as your lifestyle. And your lifestyle is what people admire. But it's also your character that produces your results because of the consistency that is required for you to build that character.
That's good.
So
man.
your character is not just who you want to be. Your character is who you've invested yourself to become it.
Yeah.
All right. And so that is the capacity that you've got to build. It's the capacity of who you are regularly, what you believe regularly, what you do regularly, the level of consistency. It's who you are when no one is watching. And when you build that character, it will translate into a lifestyle that people will admire, and it will translate into results that people desire. When people admire your lifestyle and they desire your results, they will want to live like you. And that's when they want to follow you. That's when you become a leader. But then, if your character is truly solid, your character does not try to create imitations of yourself. Your character tries to create the best version of the people who want to be like you. And that's when, in a sense, you are not just creating followers, you're creating leaders who now not only want to live like you, but they want to lead like you. And so that, for me, I think is the one most important capacity you've got to build. It's investing in who you are. It's investing in your character.
And if you do that cheaply, I guess, with charisma and a whole
Can you
bunch
hear
of
me,
stuff.
Duncan?
Yeah, of course I can, man. When you sow into that and it's not character, but you try and cover it up with other things, then that also unhinges everything that you're leading, right? Because if you don't have strong character, then you're not going to be a strong leader.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
So
FD,
absolutely. I mean, not only will you not necessarily be a strong leader, but you can be a sustainable leader because who you are not. Can you hear me though,
yeah,
Duncan?
yeah, I can hear.
Who you are consistently is what you sustain over a period of time, right? And so if you are not consistent, then you will, at one point in time, the real you is going to show up. And whether that real you will elevate you or deflate you, that's all that's left to be found out. You will be found out one day, either for the person that everybody, who you position yourself to be, or the person who you are. So you will be found out someday.
It's good.
I just need to know
FD,
something. I know I've been having a bit of a challenge with my internet. Am I breaking off?
mate, listen, you're okay. I think you're in a little bit of delay right now, but that's okay because I'm going to stop speaking to you. I'm going to give you an opportunity to teach us and lead us. I think well, we do have a little bit of internet issues, so I'll just pause for a second while we get FD back on the line again. That was some good stuff, wasn't it? I mean, character as the thing that underpins all our leadership becomes a really critical thing, doesn't it? And we see that today with leaders who are undone by poor character and poor character decisions. So I think we're close to getting FD back. It's going to be a real treat to have him share what's on his heart. Looks like we're reconnecting just now. Waiting for him to come up. Don't forget, guys, keep the comments coming. If something's touching your heart as you hear it, as FD shares something and you think, man, I just want to make a note of that, make a note in the chat. This is an interactive conference and it's designed so that, what ends up happening in that series of chat windows is a testimony that speaks ongoing on the internet. It stands there as a little record of history and time. And so let's keep those comments coming through as we see them come in. Still having a little bit of internet challenges right now, guys. Keep the excitement up. I'm excited too. I mean, how good was that start from FD? I mean, it was really, really sitting in tune with what we heard from DDK and Dr. Sam as well. It's going to be good, don't you? All right, I'm just getting an update now. I do need to remind you guys, VIP session is tomorrow. That's session number 4. That's going to kick off. Dr. Niyi, Dr. Sam, and Wendy will be hosting that one. They're going to be going a little bit deeper. It's a VIP session, so don't forget to sign up for that so you can be involved in that. That's going to be fantastic. And then after that, session 4, we'll have the session 5 with John Maxwell and Dr. Niyi. And then coming up later on today or tomorrow morning, depending on where you are, which is why we're calling them sessions, we do have session number 3 with Wendy Burns and the panel. That's available as well. You can sign up for that VIP session. Here's the link below, legacyconsults.com.au/VIP, and you can be in there for that as well. I think we're close to getting him back online. I really... This is what happens when we're doing a live stream on the internet. We're trying to dial people in from all over the world, and sometimes there's a little technology issue. Yeah, Joshua, I see your comment there. Sometimes I think it's important to ask one of those spontaneous questions because sometimes the spontaneous answers are the best, right? And I think for a person like an executive coach, it's really fascinating to find out what are those things that they really delve into and work on and challenge with the people they're working with. And that consistency of developing character becomes really important, especially as you become a leader that leads leaders, is that's what people are looking at. the consistency of character. Dr. Nee, how you doing? Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Duncan. You're doing a great job. Enjoying the show.
But you're not FD. What's going on?
Well, FD is still trying to sort things out from his own end. So hopefully we'll have we'll have him back very soon. So we're still looking forward to that. Amazing. It's been a great morning so far here. And for those in Africa, Europe, great evening, I hope. Wow, what a session we just had.
Man, you know what? I made a whole bunch of notes from that previous session. And there was one that really stood out to me was that idea that DDK and Dr. Sam were talking about purpose doesn't equal popularity.
Yeah.
Right? Is that sometimes things can get really lonely and you can be making a decision that may be unpopular to begin with, but it's what the person needs. As a leader, our goal isn't to take people necessarily where they want to go, but where they need to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes that can be unpopular, right?
Yeah. I guess that's always the challenge that we have when we conflate popularity with impact or influence. There are a lot of people who would not have a big platform, but would still make a lot of difference. And of course, leadership is number one about influencing people that are within your own, that you've been sent to. So I think that's the main priority there. Leadership is about influencing the people that you've been sent to. And so I think it's really essential that that point is, is understood. And a lot of people sort of do not get that. I think we've got FD back right now. Let's see if we can bring him on. Hello, FD.
FD.
Hello, Dr. Nee.
Right.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, Claire. Beautiful.
All right. Pleasure. All right.
FD, I think we might all bow out and give you the floor, sir, so you can share some wisdom with us. Okay, mate?
All right. Much grateful. So, hello, everybody. And I hope you're having an amazing conference. Let me start by saying thank you, Duncan, for that incredible question. And thank you for this, for the way you've been hosting this. And that was such a powerful, an amazing session with Dr. Sam Ekundayo and DDK, Debola Deji-Kurunmi, who I both love really greatly. But I would also like to salute the true visionary leader in the house, Dr. Nee Borire, and the Legacy Consult team. Congratulations on the second Legacy Conference. And I can only see this going from strength to strength, from glory to glory, God doing incredible things, lives being transformed, leaders being born at all the different levels. Congratulations once again. And I'll be speaking very briefly, hoping that my internet stays strong. I'm not sure why it's just been acting up today, but I've been told to speak very briefly about the theme from vision to legacy. From vision to legacy. And let me start by saying something that I shared with my sons. I've got 3 boys. They're really young men right now. And one of them is 20. The other one just turned 19 a couple of days ago. And then there is a 17-year-old. And they're all these tall guys. I'm the shortest guy in the house right now. And I say that to the glory of God. That's what every parent wants, for that every next generation will be greater than you. But this is what it was that I was just sharing something and on Instagram before I came on to this program. And one of the things I said as I was closing that conversation, inviting people to a program that we're running tomorrow, was I said, life is not going to give you what you want. Life is going to give you what you really want. And my son said, Dad, can you explain that to us? I said, what I found out is that everybody wants something, but not everybody gets what they want. Because life doesn't give you what you want. Life gives you what you really want. And one of my sons said, what's the difference? I said, well, you see, what you really want is what you're willing to give up something for. And what you get is tied to what you are willing to give, not what you want. You see, what you want is what you're willing to get. What you really want is what you're willing to give. What you get is not tied to what you're willing to get. It's tied to what you're willing to give. And you know, when I started to put that in context, I realized, oh my God, in a sense, what you want is many times captured by your vision. What you get is captured by your legacy. Because what your legacy is what you have, is what you've done, is what literally you're leaving behind. So if you were to think of the life as a journey, as everybody talks about it, your vision is the picture of your destination. Your legacy is what the mileage that you've come across to get there. And the beautiful thing is, whilst yes, your vision is, I mean, like your destination, you can choose to get there. You can choose a different destination on your way to the original destination. Your vision can be flexible. You can enlarge your vision. You can compress your vision. You can scale it up. You can scale it down. You can change it all together. You can't change your legacy. So, in a sense, vision is common. Legacy is the stuff that leaders are made for. And so it is not just vision that drives leaders. It's also legacy. And so vision is really powerful, absolutely powerful. But when you see truly great leaders, they are not driven by what it is that they want to accomplish. They're driven by what it is they want to leave behind. Knowing fully well that the script that describes your future is your vision, but the script that describes your life is your legacy. And you know, I was reading in the dictionary, it says, legacy is an amount of money and property left to someone in a will. Legacy is an amount of money or property left to someone in a will. And I thought, well, that's brilliant. But you know, there's a story that I would like to tell you. And it's the story of my father. And it's a story, as far as I'm concerned, of not just vision and a visionary leader, but a man who built a legacy and instilled in me certain values that have continued to guide me in the ability to build a legacy also. So my father was the late Professor Adetokunbo Olaiwola Durotoye. And, you know, my father was an amazing man, truly amazing. I'm the third of his three children. And this guy was truly, truly amazing. And you hear me say was because my father passed away, you know, when I was only 11 years old. And today I'm 50, I mean, well, right now I'm 51 years old. So my father passed on 40 years ago. Right. He passed on 40 years ago in September. And what I found out about my dad was, you know, how great a visionary he was. You know, he graduated top of his class in physiology from, at that time, the premier university in Nigeria, University of Ibadan. And then he went on to become a specialist in genetic science and became the youngest professor in Nigeria when he was just at the age of 36 in that was in 1975, when he was just 36 years old. But then what was very interesting was that my father, when he was just 42 years old, had a condition, and it was the condition, he had diabetes, and he unfortunately passed on very, very suddenly. And when he passed on, unfortunately, he didn't necessarily leave me any inheritance or leave my brother or my siblings any inheritance. He was a young man. He was full of strength. He was, he didn't at that time think that he was going to pass on. So unfortunately, in a sense, he never really had a will or even had any of the properties that he was going to leave. So we continue to live in the university accommodation that he had as a lecturer when he passed on. Luckily, my mom was also a lecturer, so we were able to stay in that house until my mom's passing in 2006. Where am I going? Now listen to this. So my father never really passed on any property or financial legacy to me. However, sometime in the year 2001, about this time I was just starting out my business. And at that time, I would consult for organizations who had clients, because I really didn't have any clients of my own. And it turns out that this time, this 2001 is about 20 years ago, I had gone on behalf of my client to run a training program for this big organization. And on the day that we were starting that training program, all the directors of that organization were there to flag off the program, and of course, also the facilitators were seated. And so there was a point at which we had to introduce ourselves, all the facilitators, to the directors and to the entire class. This is this large organization, and we were going to be training their staff. So I was the last facilitator to introduce myself. And the moment I mentioned my name is Fela Durotoye, the CEO of that organization literally just grabbed the microphone and said, "Which Durotoye are you?" I said, "Well, who is your father?" he says. I said, "Well, my father is the late Professor Olaiwola Durotoye." And the CEO dropped the mic, stood up from the high table where they were, came down to where I was, and grabbed me to say in my local dialect, "Omo Gare, which means this is my boss's son." I was in shock. I didn't know who this man was. Cut the long story short, he went back to the high table, grabbed the mic and said, "I'm so sorry I disrupted this program. And I didn't mean to embarrass this young man, but I just wanted you guys to know I wouldn't have been here had it not been for his father." He proceeded to tell us a very interesting story about how my father had come to the school where he was attending. Unfortunately, at that time, and this must have been late in the 1960s, right? At that time, he said his school didn't have any math teacher and any science teacher. And so my father had come in as a student whilst he was in the university, and he came to volunteer as a teacher, a math teacher and a science teacher. And he says, because of the way my father taught them, they fell in love with math, and many people fell in love with sciences. He became an accountant, in part because he was able to pass not only the math to go and study accounting in university, but then there were several others in his class that became that became doctors, engineers, and all of those kind of things. And he said, if this man had not come to my school to teach math, and if he had not taught math the way he taught it with so much passion and made it so easy, he said, I am sure that I will not have passed math at the entrance level. I'm positive I may not have even gone into university. Neither do I think I may have become an accountant, and I therefore would not have become who I am. And he said to me, I owe where I am today to your father. Now, I was very grateful. I said, thank you. Then, we were done with this thing, and everybody ran the program. So at the end of the first day of the program, the gentleman who owned the company that hired me to train on their behalf had come to me and said, listen, the CEO of the program wants to see you tomorrow. And let me give you a heads up what he wants, right? He wants to give you an opportunity to run a training by the name of your company. So he wants to help you because he realizes you're just starting your own business. So he wanted to give you an opportunity. And he had gotten really good reviews from the participants who attended your program today. So he said you should please see him on your way in tomorrow. So I went to see him. And he said to me, oh, I heard that you had one of the best ratings of all the facilitators. I'm really proud of you. And this is what I would like to do. In honor of your father, I would like to give you an opportunity to run a training program, not as a facilitator to another company, but to run a training program with your company. And so he asked me to go and see the training manager. And literally by the time I got there, it was as though the doors had already opened for me. And they said, listen, what would you like to do? Well, at that time, my sole area of specialization was in service leadership and how to become service excellence and the kind of person you had to be able to offer excellent service. They loved it. And they said, oh, yeah, fantastic. So they signed me up on this contract to train a number of people for about 3 days. And the contract was worth 600,000 naira. Now, at that time, and I must say this was about 20 years ago, that could have been something in the region of about, maybe I would say, about $12,000 or something like that. Between $12,000 and $10,000. Okay, US dollars. And that was how much they were going to pay me to run that training program. So I went out and I got the best of everything I could. I got the best everything. Notepads, pens, the best bags, the best everything I could. I even got them tea mugs, and I really just went out and did all I could to impress this gentleman, and more importantly, to impress the class. Of course, if you're going to teach service excellence, then everything that you have to do must be excellent. And so there it was. I did the first day of the program, and I had taken a sample of everything that I had done and given it to the man's secretary to make sure that he could present it to this gentleman. And so on the second morning, there was a 3-day program. On the second day, just before I started the program, his secretary came and quickly, did a sign to me to say, would you please come? He says, the boss would like to see you. And I was wondering, okay, I think I still have about 15 minutes more. Let me quickly go so that I don't start my class late. And as soon as I entered into his office, I saw all the things that my notepads, my pen, everything was that I had given to the participants was on his desk. And this man, tall, huge man, said to me, what is this that you have done? So I said, I was in shock, I was trying to figure out what did I do? I had done the best I knew how to. And I said, sir, what is the problem? He said, look at you. I mean, your father did so well for me that I thought I could help you. And I gave you an opportunity. I gave you a contract so that I can help you to grow your business. You've used all of the money that we gave you to buy all the things that you've given to the participants. How are you going to make any money from this? And so I realized that I wasn't in trouble for giving substandard items that he was truly impressed, but he was also alarmed that he thought that I had gone above and beyond to give the best quality of what I had. And his worry was, you won't make any money from this contract with all that you've done. So I smiled at him. And he said, you are smiling. I said, yes, sir. I said, at this time I called him. I said, Uncle, my father did something for you many, many years ago. And based on the impact that he made on you, you decided to give me, his son, an opportunity. Several years later. I said, I have the opportunity right now to impact a classroom of many people. And I don't know which one of them is going to meet my son. At that time, I think maybe, I said my sons or my daughters, or my children, sometime later in life. I don't know who's going to meet them. And what I hope will happen is that when they meet them, they would remember the impact that I created. They would choose to open the doors for my children. And what the man did was as shocking as the first time. He got up from his desk, came around, hugged me again and said, "Oh, you are just like your father. You are just like your father. I'm so proud of you." And then he released me back, and I went, did an incredible program, and it was just the beginning of many to come. He also went ahead and just introduced me to as many of the people and said, "This is one of the best facilitators we have ever had." And that brings me to the core of what it is that I really wanted to talk about, which is this concept of understanding legacy. That, when I look in the dictionary says legacy is an amount of money or property left to someone in a will. Well, if I were to work with that definition, then my father left me no legacy, because I didn't get any money and I didn't get any property, and he didn't even have a will. But I realized that that is a very limited definition of legacy, that there is a broader definition of legacy that has guided my life, especially looking back at that incident, where I will define legacy as an amount of money or property that someone leaves to you in a goodwill. So there is the legacy about what it is you get from a will, but there is also the legacy that you can inherit because of goodwill. And whilst my father didn't have a will, my father had goodwill. Whilst my father didn't leave behind a will, my father left behind goodwill. Goodwill that left me with open doors of opportunity that I could now use to be able to make money and to be able to build properties and to be able to acquire stuff. But that's not all. With the values that I have been able to use to now begin to build goodwill for my children. Legacy is not only about the will. Legacy is also about goodwill. And whilst you have a vision of greatness, my one charge to you at the Legacy Conference 2022 is, on your path to actualizing your vision, consciously build a great legacy, starting now, today, and every day. I'm going to say that again. On your journey to building this incredible, actualizing this incredible vision that you have for your life, for your future, my one charge to you is consciously build a great legacy, starting now, today, and every day. That's what my father did. Every time I have met someone who knew my father, they speak so greatly about this guy, but not only about his accomplishments. For him to have been the youngest professor in Nigeria at the age of 36, he was a visionary. But it's amazing how his legacy is not only captured in his accomplishments. I think the greatest legacy he left was in the impact and the memories that he had on human beings who met him all across the world. His students. I mean, I've had the privilege of meeting his students everywhere. They always talk about the impact that my father had on them. They will talk about how brilliant he was. But then that's not where they don't even spend 20% of the conversation on his brilliance. They always talk about the inspiration that he was. One of his students said, "Your father was the first person who ever fried plantain and eggs for me. He would take us, his students, home to him. Sometimes during his break, he would say, 'I'm going to have lunch. Which one of you is coming?' And then they will go home with him. And he would sometimes, I mean, maybe my mom was also as a lecturer, she could be having a class, and he will fry in this delicacy that we call dodo, fried plantain, and he would fry eggs. One of the top-end medical practitioners in Nigeria today said, the first time I ever ate plantain and egg, it was your father who fried it for me as a lecturer. That for him was one of the greatest days of his life. Had nothing to do with my father being a lecturer. It just had to do with him being a human being. So how do you consciously build a great legacy? Number one, remember that your legacy is, in a sense, what people remember after you're gone. Your legacy is the stories that are told about you. Your legacy is the evidence of the encounters that people have long after those encounters have been met. And you must remember that with each person you meet and everywhere you go, you have the opportunity of building three kinds of legacies. The first is what you call a positive or a great legacy. And this is where the memories that people have of you is a memory that delights them. It's a memory that people are excited. It's the things that cause people to smile. It's the things that cause people to look back at the moment of their encounter with you, and they're glad. But that's one kind of legacy. The second kind of legacy is it's a negative legacy. And this is a kind of legacy where those people who met you, whenever your image, your name, or anything reminds them of you, they realize that what you left with them made them sad, it made them mad. To some of them, it turned them into a bad experience. It had such a bad experience that they had, the memory they have of you is a sad memory. It's a bad memory. That is a negative legacy. But honestly, whilst I know that the best thing that can ever happen is for you to leave a great legacy, I think that the worst kind of legacy you can have is the third kind of legacy. It's a legacy that is not good and it's not bad. It's just a nil legacy. A nil legacy is the kind of legacy that you have when people can't even remember that they ever met you, when the encounters that you had with them left no impact at all. You didn't leave a good impact, but it didn't leave a bad impact. A nil legacy is what happens when you go through a school and the only record that the school has of you is in the archives, because there's nothing to show that you ever went to that school. And the nil legacy is what happens when you had classmates who never recalled you from anything because they couldn't remember anything you said that was nice or anything that you said that was bad, but you had no impact on your classmates. A nil legacy is something that happens when you worked in an organization and no one can remember that you ever worked there except just the files in the store, in the HR department. To me, I think the nil legacy is the worst of all kinds of legacy to live. I think it is bad to leave a bad legacy. It is great to leave a great legacy, but it is the worst thing ever to leave no legacy at all. To leave no goodwill that opens doors. Because a bad legacy turns your name into a padlock that locks the doors of opportunity to those who use your name. A great legacy turns your name into a key that opens the doors of opportunity to those who use your name. A nil legacy, on the other hand, leaves no recognition. So your name is like a code. It can't lock doors and it doesn't open doors. It just means nothing to everybody. I think that if you're going to be a truly great leader, you've got to leave a great legacy behind. So how do you leave a great legacy? I'll tell you very quickly. For one, I think the first most important thing, and I'm just taking also from what I've learned from my father, is make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go. Be intentional about the impact that you will make on others. Let your words and your actions leave people better than the way they were before you met them. Let everywhere you go, let that place become a better place than the way it was before you got there. To be able to make a positive impact, you have to be able to say things and do things that makes people say thank you. That gets people to become better versions of themselves than they were before they met you. If you're going to be able to build a great legacy, you must make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go. Number two, if you're going to build a great legacy, you must be able to be what I call a solution provider and not a problem for people to solve. I once heard someone say, you will be remembered by the problems you created or the problems that you solved. You'll be remembered by the problems you created or the problems you solved. I mean, if you're going to build a great legacy that would open doors for other people, then I hope that it is the problems that you solved that will be the things that people will remember. Because every time you solve problems, you create value. And every time you create value, it will one day be rewarded with wealth. The interesting thing about value is that, as you know, what the scripture says is whatsoever, not wheresoever, not whensoever. You see, my father sowed a good whatsoever. It didn't happen. He didn't get a reward for it in his lifetime. But guess what? Because value will always be rewarded. It cannot be destroyed. His son came almost, maybe 40 years later to be able to come and get some value from that, get wealth from the value that my father created. So what am I saying? Every time you solve a problem, you create value. And even if you're not the one that will reap of that value, don't worry. Someday, somewhere, sometime, someone will. If it's not you, it'll be somebody else who's connected to you. The third thing I would like to quickly say about your legacy, if you're going to build a great legacy, is for you that you must consciously be and give and do your best in every situation and with every opportunity. And I love the way the Bible says, whatsoever your hands findeth to do, do it with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. Do it with everything you've got. Give your very best to every opportunity. And, I like to say it this way. There are many versions of you that wake up every morning. But please choose your best self to go with you into your day. There's your lazy self that wakes up in the morning. There's your grumpy self that wakes up in the morning. There's your sad self sometimes that wakes up in the morning. And then there is your best self. Make sure that whilst everybody wakes up, that's fine. Take only your best self with you to where you're going. Give your best effort. Do the best you can. Not only for one person because you think you can get something out of it, but for everyone because that's what you can give. Give the most excellent version of yourself, knowing fully well that every day that you get up. You bring your best self to the day, but your better self must be the one that goes to bed at night. Think about that. Which means never stop at being your best. Always compete with your last best by becoming better. And make sure that whilst it was your best self that came into the world, every day it's your better self that goes to bed. So do better than you did yesterday. Find new ways of making things better. Find new ways of making things different. And you know what happens? If you keep competing with yourself, one day there will be nobody for you to compete with. And all of a sudden, you will realize that you are breaking records and setting new records. And no one forgets that. So, if you're going to be able to leave and build a great legacy, you must do it on a daily basis. But that's not all. You must make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go. You must say things that can be quoted by people. I mean, if your words were to be told to your children, what will your children hear that you said? You must be a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved. And I always ask the question, if your name was put on a referee, the referee part of someone's CV, of somebody's curriculum vitae, and they took that curriculum vitae and attached it to an application for a job in an office where you have worked before, the question is, will they get the job because you are the one who referred them? Or will just the name bring such horrendous memories that they would say, well, you know what? The job has already been taken. Or you know what, how they say it sometimes, we'll get back to you. They said, don't call us, we'll call you. Be a solution provider, not a problem to be solved. Be invited to the disciplinary committee as a panelist, not to sit in front of the panel. And most importantly, on every day, find a way to give your best and do your best. Whatever it is that your hands find to do, there is a better way to do it. Everything you've been taught to do in a particular way was created by somebody's best effort. Maybe it's time for you to find a new way to do something so that it is better, it is faster, it is cheaper, it is more convenient for everybody. Because the things that you create, the ideas you bring, the innovation that you have, those are the things that people will never forget. The records that you set, no one will ever forget that. Because most times, what your record does is not only to inspire people, but it gets them to believe that if you could, they could. And you know what happens? When you make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go, when you're a solution provider and not a part of the problem to be solved, when you are your best, you give your best and do your best in all that you do, especially the things you're naturally good at, guess what's going to happen? You're going to make your family, you're going to make your nation, and you're going to make your God proud. I am so proud to be the son of Professor Adetokunbo Olaiwola Durotoye. I am so proud to be able to mention my father's name, a gentleman who spent only 42 years walking on the planet Earth. But in the last 40 years, my father has been gone for almost as long as he was on Earth. And every day, doors are still opening to me. And I've spent the last 51 years of my life making sure that I can leave a name and a legacy that will not only be the property or the money I can leave for my children, but the values that will help them to succeed wherever it is that they go. Because every generation that leaves success without the values that produce that success is creating what is called a seedless grape generation. What is a seedless grape? A seedless grape is something that has the fruit but has no seed to continue to bear the fruit. The best thing you can leave for your children is not only a great name, but give them the values that will cause them to leave a great name for their own children. That's how you leave a lasting legacy. That's how you leave a lasting legacy. So it's great to have vision. And a vision is a picture of a desired destination that is so compelling to everyone who hears it. They want to get on board and stay the course, regardless of how long it will take, regardless of how far it seems, or regardless of how rough the road ahead is. When you carry a vision, everybody wants to be a part of that thing because it is significant, it's meaningful, it's audacious, it's record-setting, it is treasured, and many times it is timeless. Yes, people want to be a part of that vision. But remember that on the journey to the vision, it's your legacy that you're going to leave behind. And so you start living that legacy right now, today, and every day. As I close, let me quickly just say, isn't it amazing that two of the most valuable time zones in life with which you are able to actualize your vision and leave behind a legacy are now and today? And yet, you will never find on any wristwatch, no matter how expensive it is, you will never find now on it. And you would never find today on any calendar. And yet, now is the best time of the day, and today is the best day of the week. But you won't find today on any calendar. You would find Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But you won't find today. And yet, those who will leave a great legacy, they seize that secret moment called now and impact everyone that they meet in their now moment. They impact them positively so that they can leave good memories. They solve problems everywhere they go, and they set new records by giving their best and being their best until their best becomes the best. So, in my closing, once again, let me just remind you, if there's one thing that Fela would say, it's on your journey to building and actualizing the great vision that you will get from this conference, please consciously build a great legacy, starting now, today, and every day. I want to say thank you so much for your time. I hope that I still have a bit more time to be able to answer questions. But Duncan, if I was able to hear anything, then
mate, that was fantastic. You know, I'm back as a pastor, and one of the times that you see legacy best expressed in Australia is at funerals. But oftentimes you're dealing with the hurt and the sadness of the loss in Australia. And so what I do, I was just thinking as I listen, is I tell people to grab a piece of paper and to fold it up twice. Okay, you take that piece of paper, you fold it up twice like this, and then you take a big black marker. And what you're going to do is you're going to draw the hurt that you're feeling right now on that piece of paper, right? Everything that you're feeling, and I'm like, shade it in, do it as much as possible. And you end up with this, a big black mark. And I said this, the thing is that the hurt of the loss of the person that you're missing right now never changes size, but the life that you choose to live in light of that grows as you go through seasons. And so you get to write stories on the rest of the pieces of paper in light of the loss of the person who is left behind. The problem is, if you just stay in your hurt, the page never gets bigger. And so legacy starts, like you've been saying, the moment that person leaves, and your goal is to open up that piece of paper and to make it bigger and live that life in light of that legacy, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I mean, this is so powerful what you've said, Duncan. And I always add to it that you hear, and I think it was also Dr. John Maxwell who said the two most important days in your life are the days that you're born and the day you know why. It's not
Yeah.
the day you die; it's the day you know why. But more importantly, I know that most times when you look at it and you talk about at the funerals, at the end of it, people are going to be laid in a grave, and usually it's just a tombstone that is going to be on that.
Yep.
And that tombstone most times is going to read your name, but it doesn't really speak about your identity. And then it will speak about the day of your birth, but it doesn't speak about the circumstances of your birth. And then it also has the date of your passing, or the date you stopped breathing. And Duncan, in between your birth date and the date of your death is a dash. And that dash is the most important thing on the tombstone.
Yep.
Because it's that dash that is everything you left behind for the world after you're gone. For me, the way I see it, that dash is all of the memories and all of the things that people are going to say about you. Unfortunately, you can't put your cars in that dash. You can't put your bank account in that dash. You can't put your houses in that dash, because the dash is small on the tombstone, but it is large in the hearts of men. And so if you can't feel in that dash is your legacy. That dash is all there is to your life. And that's the way
I've never done a funeral where we started to parade out all the possessions of the person. No. What I have done at a funeral is talk about the characters and the quality of that person and celebrated that in the individual. That's the dash, right? That's the thing you leave behind.
Absolutely. And you know how how those things are authentically told? They are authentically told not even by references to the person, but by stories of impact on the people that are telling it. So when I want to say Duncan was he was such a wise man. Well, the thing that he would say is, I would talk about how Duncan's words and wisdom shaped my life. The wisdom of his counsel, and how I remember when he, and those stories validate and authenticate every reference that we make to your character. So it's all in the dash, it's all in the memories, it's all in the things that people would say. And sometimes you don't have to wait until you die before people can start saying great things about you. Because today now we are learning how, especially after COVID, when a lot of people realized how many people they lost, people are realizing that, look, you know what, the essence of life is also about giving people their flowers whilst they're alive. And so don't let's wait to celebrate the legacies of men or women only at their funerals. Let's use every day we can to celebrate people whilst they're here.
That's good.
And let's talk about the impact that they've made on our lives, and let's celebrate that.
That's great, man. That's really good.
And that's what,
Well, listen, if you do have any questions for FD, we've probably got a little bit of time, right, Dr. Niyi? We'll pop them in the comments, and we'll pop them up on screen, and we'll ask them of him. There's a lot there, man. There was a lot there to process. There was a lot there to work through. And I kept on writing down in my notes, giving. It's about goodwill. It's about what you sow into people. Like, what I kept on coming back to with this idea of legacy is that leadership requires you to sacrifice something of yourself to give off to somebody else, right?
Absolutely.
And if you're not willing to give something up of yourself, to sacrifice something of yourself, you're never going to be a good leader.
No. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And can I also say that real leadership is what you've just defined, especially when it is with nothing expected in return.
Yeah.
Trading is when I give up myself Investing is when I give up myself with something that I'm hoping to get back in return.
Yep.
But what real leaders do is leaders build, people, not for the sake of what they will get out of those people, but for what it is that those people can become. I don't know if Duncan is still there because I just can't see
I'm still
myself
here.
in them. Yeah. And I think that that's so powerful, that the ability of a leader is to build people. And many times we talk about how you can have those who use people to accomplish goals and those who build people. Knowing fully well that when I do build this person, it's inevitable that the person will accomplish their goals. But this is how you know where the difference is. Every time you leave a leader, the leader is proud of who you are at the time when you're leaving.
Yeah.
Every time you leave a user, the user is pained by everything you've become when you're leaving.
Yeah. It's good. That's really
So
good.
those who want to use you and trained you so that they could use you to accomplish their goals, you really can't tell whether this person is a user or a leader until it's time for you to leave. And when you are leaving, the leader is so proud of who you are and who you've become. The user is so pained by what you've become because they are thinking of what it is that they are missing out, not what it is that they're taking away. So I think that it's extremely interesting, Duncan, when you put it this way. And one of the things that I found out that I want to leave as a legacy is I want to leave a legacy of values that transforms people's lives and builds leaders of excellence, people who would have exemplary lifestyles and amazing results.
Yeah.
And somehow I believe that when we do that, then we are building leaders that can then change the world. And what I hope to do is to be able to give a set of values to those leaders. And I found 10 values, Duncan, if you can, that I found out that helps to make great leaders. And okay, I would say this.
One of the questions was, what are your values that you spoke about before? So why don't you share those 10 values? Yeah.
Well, so first of all, when I define my values, I define my values in 5 words. But then I define those values and describe them in 10 statements. So the 5 words that define my values are exemplary, expertise, execution, excellence, and excitement. Those are the 5 pillars that define my values.
Yep.
However, I describe my values in 10 statements, but 4 or 5 of which I have already shared today. Number 1, make a positive impact on everyone you meet and everywhere you go. That is how I describe the lifestyle that I want. Number 2, be a solution provider, not a part of the problem to be solved. Number 3, be a role model worthy of emulation. Number 4, be your best in all you do, particularly the things you're naturally good at. Number 5, do the right thing at all times, regardless of who is doing the wrong thing. Number 6, value time and make the best use of it. Number 7, care and show respect to all through your words and your actions. Number 8, consciously build a great legacy starting now, today, and every day. Number 9, live a life of integrity and honor. And number 10, make your family, your nation, and your God proud. So what I do is I personalize them. And rather than say you, I would say, I will make a positive impact on everyone I meet and everywhere I go. I will be a solution provider, not a part of the problem to be solved. And that's how I live. And what I've done is to be able to put this into a personal creed. And that personal creed has now become something that more than 1 million people have downloaded. And people keep talking about how it just changed their lives. And I find out that just by giving the people the personal creed, those 10 statements, it's creating the stories of their own lives. And I'm so proud that sometimes it's the changes that the people are making, the better version of themselves they're becoming, the great things that they're accomplishing and the records they're breaking and setting, that those are the things that people are doing with that creed. So I believe that when we And you said to me, what is the most important thing? Build character, I said. And
Yeah.
with that creed, you tend to build your character. And as you build your character, it defines how you live and what you accomplish. And so for anybody who would like to be able to get that creed, it's really very simple. It's and I know Dr. Nee can help me put it out there. It's just if you want to download an electronic version of those 10 statements, it's www.gemstoneng.net/info. www.gemstoneng.net/info. And you just see download the creed and it will come to you. You can share it. One of the things we say is say it, share it, and show it.
Fantastic.
The gemstone stands for a generation that is empowered, motivated, and stirred to operate with natural excellence. And that, I hope, that is one of the things that will afford people.
It's really good.
To live a better life.
Amazing. Can I just say something here that, it's been a great honor to be here listening to you guys and listening to you have the amazing story. You're a great storyteller. And I just can't get over the story that you shared with us today, that personal story. But I think it really captures the essence of what we're talking about. And I've actually not heard legacy discussed in this format or in this way, talking about goodwill, and, bringing to mind the important value of goodwill when it comes to legacy, and how your father, even though his life was brief and he didn't leave you with great possessions, he left you with a name that opened so many doors for you. I think that's something that everyone on this call should really reflect and think about that. I think that's what you're calling us to. You're challenging us to beyond what we have, all right, to live beyond what we possess, to live beyond that. At the end of the day, it's all about legacy. It's all about the goodwill. It's all about the name, all right? And the name there doesn't have to be a popular name, but an impactful name. The name that your father left you wasn't, necessarily a name that will be heard or said in every nook and cranny. Not everyone will have that opportunity, but that name is a name that has impacted lives. And I think that's what this is all about. So what this conference is about building you up, giving you insights, inspiring you to not just be the best version of yourself, to not just live to the peak of where you should be, but also to live beyond yourself to others. That's why in this conference, we're talking about moving people from success to significance, from just being excellent to you being impactful, from excellence to influence. What is it? What good is it if you're a technical expert and you are the best in your field, but the people around you who look at you cannot be inspired to do more? Your life should inspire other people. Like, I like the words of this song that says that, may the fire of our devotion light the way of those who come behind us. If you're so much on fire in any area of your life, whether it's spiritual, whether it's your career, your business, the fire of your devotion and your success should light the path for others to come behind you. And like Mrs. A said in the first session, you're not a success if there's no succession, if people are not inspired by you, if people are not blessed, if people don't see you and feel like, yes, we can do it, then you're not. So thanks, FD. Amazing. I think we've got some questions. Duncan, I just thought I would say one or two words about that. I just appreciate you.
That was so powerful. So powerful.
And just to let everyone know that Fela Durotoye is a global phenomenon when it comes to executive coaching. Is a leadership coach. I'm proud to say that he is my coach, and I've had multiple sessions with him, revelational sessions. So a lot of all the things we're talking about today, Legacy Consult, was birthed in a session with him. All right, legacyconsults.com.au. I registered it just immediately after a coaching session with him. All right, so that's how powerful this is. So I would highly recommend that you go look him up, www.gemstone.net, or go on gemstoneng.net. Yes, look for him anywhere you are in the world. Okay, you will find him. As I said, he's a member of the Forbes Coaching Council. He has a lot of programs, and every time I'm with him, it's all great value. So FD has my highest recommendation. If you're looking for executive coaching, please be in touch. So Duncan, back to you. I think we've got a few questions. Should I put one up?
Yeah, I like the one from Esther here that says, are there characteristics I need to possess to help in this legacy impact move? And I know that, when we started this session, we were talking about how you were sewing into people's character. What are those characteristics that you are sewing into a person's character that they need to work on so they can establish this legacy?
Well, one of the first most
FD? Dr.
your
Nee, I
desire.
think you lost. Okay, you're back now. Go for it,
You're
mate.
back. You're back. Yes.
Okay. Am I there?
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Go for it.
Okay. I think the first thing that I would say is your desire, otherwise known as your intent. I think that your intent is the deepest motivation of all in the human soul. And one of the things that I always ask is, what's driving you? What is it that you truly want? And at the heart of your let me put it this way, when you talk about the heart of the matter is the matter of the heart, well, the matter of the heart is your intent. Your intent is the thing that drives you when no one else sees you, when no one else is there. Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And what would you like to have? And if you can be able to find an alignment between those three things, that who I be influences what I do, and what I do influences what I have, and that I would, at the core of my soul, I must be this authentic person. Whatever that character is, that thing is who you will become. So for me, I would always say it this way: look into your heart and search for your intention. Your intention is the most important thing about what will evolve as your characteristic or your character. What do you, who do you want to become? Why do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? What do you truly want? I think for me, that's the most important thing. I mean, if I can tell a quick story here about this, and Duncan, I'm glad that this is one of those. It's a platform that I can share my faith with you. And a few years ago, about 20 years ago, I went to speak at a conference. This was just about the time when, in a sense, my name was just becoming well known. I was invited into many conferences. And I remember going to speak at this leadership conference organized by a church. And the pastor of the church said, let us make welcome with and he mentioned the name of the church. Welcome, the man of the moment, Fela, Durotoye. And the church went wild. But in my heart, I felt grieved. What did this man just call me? The man of the moment? The man of the moment. But anyway, I stood up, went out there, did my stuff. It was amazing. And literally, once I got into the car, it was like I told the Holy Spirit, I don't even understand what just happened there. Let's talk when I get home. And you know how sometimes when you somebody's been almost naughty and your mom says, when we get home, I will, And well, as soon as I got home, the presence of the Holy Spirit was in my house. And at that time, it was just myself and my wife. We were just newly married at that time. And I said to the Holy Spirit, what was that? He said, what was what? I said, what was it that man just said? He just called me the man of the moment. Do you want to use me and dump me? And the Holy Spirit said, that's not in my character. I said, oh, okay. So was he speaking by the flesh or was he speaking by the Spirit? He said he was speaking in the flesh. I said, well, okay, in that case, because I just wanted to know how long this journey was going to last for. And he said, that's up to you, not me. And I said, what do you mean? I said, well, Lord, I know that there are many people who have risen in your kingdom, and sometimes they fade out. And he said, yes. I said, but tell me why. Why do people rise and fall in the kingdom? And God said to me, I would never forget. He said, intention. I said, what? He said, intention. I said, what do you mean intention? He said, everyone you see that ever rose and fell in the kingdom became what they intended to become. Those who had an intention to be rich, once they became rich, there was nothing else that could drive them closer, that could draw them in pursuit of God. Those who wanted to be famous, once they became famous, there was nothing else more to be able to facilitate that pursuit. And God said to me, an unaccomplished intention is the greatest motivation of all. An unaccomplished intention is the greatest motivation of all. So I said, almost jokingly, Duncan, I said, what's my intention? And this was 2001. I had never seen a flat screen TV at that time before. And I saw on this thing that seemed like a flat screen TV, I intend to be great. And I realized that very moment that, oh my God, therein lies the end of my journey. That the day that I become great, or I'm acknowledged as great, or people start saying, this is a great man, that's it, I'm done, I'm over, kaput, that's it. So I started to cry and I said, no, God said to me, yes. I said, I didn't know that that was my intention. God said to me, your intention can be so deep, you don't even know it. So I said, oh my God, Lord, what should I intend? And I heard, my son, I want you to intend that whenever I see the thoughts of your heart, whenever I hear the words from your lips, or whenever I watch you in action, I want to say, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. And then he said, and on the day you arrive at the balustrades of heaven, I had never heard about anything called balustrades, not read about it until several years later when I was watching TBN, and a man who had died, and when he got to heaven, God said to him, you have to go back. It's not yet your time, right? And the guy came back and was talking about balustrades of heaven. And I thought, oh my God, God spoke to me about that. Yeah. But going back to what it is that he said, on the day you arrive at the balustrades of heaven, I want to say to you, well done, my good and faithful son and servant. You have done everything that I asked and wanted you to do. Now enter into your rest. At that moment, I thought, what do you mean asked and wanted me to do? Are there things that you may want me to do but not ask? He said, yes, of course. And then I said in a very cheeky way, where is that in the scriptures? And then he asked me a question. Did I want a temple? I said, actually, yes. How do I know? Because when David came and said he wanted to build God a temple, God said to him, no, you are not the one to build me a temple. Your hands are full of blood. But you will have a son. You will have a son. His name will be Solomon. Solomon was not even born yet. When God had already earmarked for Solomon that one of his greatest assignments on earth was to build a temple. So did God want a temple? Yes. Did God ask David for a temple? No. So it is possible sometimes for God to want something and he won't even ask you. But if you're so intimate with God, you will get to begin to know the desires of his heart. And by knowing the desires of his heart, then you will be able to say, can I do this for you? And so I would say it this way. Of all the things that has led me the last 20 years of my life, it's the intention to please God, such that with the thoughts of my heart, with the words of my lips, or with my action, that I have an audience of one, only. Duncan, just one. I am acting for an audience of one. The interesting thing is that he's always with me everywhere I go. He's in my car when nobody else is there. He's in my room at night when the lights are off. He's in that hotel room when I'm away from my home and nobody else is there. My audience of one is ever there. It's ever present. And my job is to make sure that whatever it is that he sees in my thoughts, whatever it is he hears in my words, whatever it is that he sees or watches as I act, that he would say, this is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased. This is the reason why I said of all the most important characteristics, it's got to be your intention.
I
It's
love
got to be
that.
your intention.
I for the longest time was trying to figure out my purpose, and my purpose is probably a little different from yours, FD. But I feel before God, my purpose is to be a joy bringer, right? And people often say, "Well, Duncan, that's really easy because you're funny." And I said, "No, no, 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 no. Funny is about happiness, and happiness is extrinsic. A joy bringer is someone who allows you to discover the intrinsic joy of being in a relationship with God and a relationship with Jesus." I said they're very different things. Now, yeah, I'm funny, and it's good that you get to have a laugh, but my ultimate goal is to bring the presence of the joy that I share in my own life into yours, which means that whatever the encounter is that I have with you, I hope that you walk away a little bit more joyful, which means that we can find joy in conflict because we get to work towards reconciliation, right? We can find joy in just about anything you can imagine because it's intrinsic.
Absolutely.
It's an intrinsic relationship. And so that's always been the thing that I drive towards is whatever the circumstance, whatever the place, even hosting this, you know, my goal was that people walk away with a sense of joy as a result of what they've experienced today, you know?
Well, I mean, and I would say that if I can truly testify, you've lived out your purpose today, Duncan.
That's good.
You've lived out your purpose today. I mean, one of the things I like to add to the conversation around joy is that, you know, whilst happiness is a natural stimulus to good things happening, and that joy is a mindset that causes you to find gratitude in every situation. And that every time you are joyful, no matter what kind of thing is going on, you will find something to be thankful for.
Amen.
And I just find out that joyful people are always grateful people. Joyful people are always thankful people.
And
there's no greater life than what I call the God life. A life of gratitude, the life of appreciation, and the life of thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's good.
And that can only happen with a heart of joy. So please go on, Duncan, and just keep helping us build a joyful world where people will be able to be. Yeah, please go on. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Well, FD, I can't keep you any longer. We've got to wrap it up, man. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. You have really blessed us. I think you have set the comments feed on fire on the internet. We'll need someone to put that out quickly. But we've been blessed by you today, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I know that I look forward to seeing you one of those days, someday that I will come to Australia, hopefully to be able to, you know, give you a big joyful hug.
Oh, I look forward to it.
And thank you, Dr. Nee, for having me here. You're doing an amazing job. God bless and honor you and the Legacy Consult team. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Nee, you're on mute, mate.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. FD, before you go, just very quickly, I'd like us to, everyone watching right now, you know, whether you're watching on LinkedIn or on YouTube, I'd like you to take a screenshot right now, okay? All right, and share this with all your friends, share it on all your, you know, social media platforms, all right? And tag FD, Fela Durotoye on Instagram. You've tagged me as well, Niberere. And I think, Duncan, what's your handle on Instagram?
Ultra Robo.
Ultra Robo. I love that. Ultra Robo. Does Robo have double B or one B?
Double B. Ultra and then ROBBO. Ultra Robo.
Robo. So you can tag the three of us. Okay, so let's smile. Let's take a pose. Beautiful. Guys, share that.
I was just trying to match smiles with you guys.
Oh, wow. This is amazing. This is amazing. Well, all the very best, and God bless everyone who's been connected to this conference. You guys go and do great things. Please remember to consciously build a great legacy, starting now, today, and every day as you build your journey of greatness. Not a journey to greatness, It's a journey of greatness.
Love
Not
that.
Matthew.
Thanks,
FD.
Andy.
Thank you so much, mate. Appreciate it.
Wow, what a day.
Session 2, mate. How was that?
It was good. It was great. Like, I still can't get over the story and all the gems, the 10 value and the 5 values. Just really, really, really amazing. Expertise, execution, excellence, excitement. I love those. Yeah, so it's been a wonderful, wonderful day. Even the first session with Sam and DDK, amazing. Wow.
Now, man, I need to highlight a few things. We've got some books available, right? You've written a book, Navigating Change. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Sitting over your shoulder there. And then there's a few other ones in there as well, isn't there, man? Hagar, Unloved and Unwanted, and Changing You.
Yes. So, guys, feel free to get onto my website, nibore.com/products. You'll be able to get this. We'll just play a clip, and we'll then, I think, talk about a few other announcements. But before then, actually, Duncan, I think we should emphasize the next session. The next session is going to be really, really powerful. We've got
this is the one that's Wendy's hosting, right?
Yes,
Wendy in the panel.
Yes, Wendy on the panel. Okay. Can we just take that banner off? So Wendy will be hosting this powerful session, Shaping Your Legacy. Please, let's take the banners off. Shaping Your Legacy. We've got Rebecca Forrest, Kirsten Williams, Wendy Burns, Kerry Langton, and Priscilla Jaya. So please, you've got to be in this session. Session 3, very, very powerful. So it's going to be starting at 7 p.m. Australian Standard Time for those in Sydney, 9 p.m. in Auckland. It's going to be, I think, 10 a.m. in the United Kingdom and in Europe. So please adjust your times to fit into that. It's going to be a powerful one. I'm really looking forward to that. Shaping Your Legacy, which will be led by Wendy Burns. It's going to be a powerful, powerful, powerful session. And of course, session 4. Duncan, this is going to be great.
The VIP session, yeah.
Yes.
So you can sign up for that at legacyconsults, right? .com.au.
Yes. So please want to encourage every person here on the call, join the VIP session. All right. It's valued at $9.99, but we're offering it at a discount of $99. So we encourage you, go to the link right now, register. You're going to have wonderful sessions with us, time with us, with myself, Wendy, and Dr. Sam. We're going to be teaching very deeply about some foundational concepts of leadership in the area of character building, in the area of purpose and clarity, as well as understanding the mind and the mindset of a leader. We're also going to be having group coaching sessions. So please, I encourage you, this is going to be this time tomorrow or in 24 hours time that will be on. So, we'll keep that in mind. legacyconsults.com.au/VIP.
Don't forget, like this stream, like this channel, and don't forget to subscribe because that'll keep you up to date with all the videos that are coming out here. Helps obviously to boost us on YouTube so we can get this message out to more people. So we'd love you to do that. Like, subscribe. I know that you hear it all the time, but it's actually really important because as a team, as a community together, we can boost this higher and get this to more people. So I'd love you to do that as well.
Absolutely. Just quickly touch base on a few other products that we have for one of our co-hosts. Wendy will be speaking later. We'll talk more about this book in a session, Remarkable Year. All right. And if you want to get Wendy, you can scan her this QR code. So if you're there right now, you can take a screenshot or scan this QR code. We're also going to be sending this to all the registrants by email. So please let's keep that in mind. And I'll play video. I think that's just to summarize what I'm offering as well to everyone. So we'll just play this video now.
Thank you for being a part of Legacy Conference 2022, hosted by the incredible Dr. Borire. Dr. Nee is a foremost leadership expert in the area of neuro leadership, neuro change, and neuro performance for business executives and career professionals. Some of Dr. Nee's life-changing materials are the Brain, Mind, and Change series, which consists of 10 modules from Dr. Nee and other insightful facilitators. Visit legacyconsults.com.au/products to get yours at a 50% discount. Also available is the Neuroscience of Peak Performance by Dr. Nii and one of Australia's leading neuro leadership coach, Kristen Hansen. Visit legacyconsults.com.au/product to get a 50% discount. You can also get 3 months exclusive one-on-one coaching with Dr. Nii. Or you can choose to join a group coaching call. Visit legacyconsults.com.au/products to book your slot. Finally, you can get Dr. Nii's books, Navigating Change, Victoria Ercerta, and Hager on Amazon. And you can pre-order your copy of his new books, Changing You and Overcoming. All products and materials are available at a 50% discount only during this conference. This includes a special masterclass that Dr. Nii and Kristen Hansen will be hosting on the 20th of September, titled The Neuroscience of Leadership and Influence. Visit niiborire.com/neuroperformance for more information and to book your slot. You don't want to miss it.
Fantastic. The other one too, right, is Dr. Sam has a book, Purpose in Crisis. Your problem is that you're multi-talented. You can also grab a hold of that book. There's a bunch of resources. And I believe too, man, that the recordings of all these sessions will be available for sale as well, that you can pick up. Is that right?
Well, no, all our sessions
okay.
are freely available. So you just
Freely available online.
Yes, go. It's going to be online. Not forever, all right? Not forever, okay? So for a few days till the duration of the conference, you can keep watching and keep watching and keep watching, okay? Fantastic. So if I were you, I would watch this session again. DDK, Dr. Sam's, and every session, we'll be watching it again. But of course, we may take it off anytime soon. And please don't miss the grand finale. Get the grand finale. John C. Maxwell, right? John C. Maxwell. You can't afford to miss that, okay? That's going to be coming up, session 5. That would be on
Prioritize
Saturday.
it. Put it on the calendar.
Yes.
Make it happen. Be there. It's going to be fantastic.
Wow. Amazing. Well, Duncan, I want to especially thank you. You know, Duncan, for everyone, I know we still have over 500 people on the call right now, at least on YouTube. I used to listen to Duncan every day for maybe 5-6 years, maybe not every day, but most days of the week, you know, on radio, on Christian radio, Duncan and Sam. And they would make you laugh and they would talk about Jesus. And I used to enjoy, and my kids and my wife was a huge fan. She's still a huge fan. So one day we met somebody who knew somebody who worked for Duncan in radio, and they just said they could make a connection, and somehow they got an email. And I remember sending that email, just sending it, not hoping to get a response. And I got a response. And the first day I spoke to Duncan, if you remember, I got my wife, and my wife was screaming, Daniel really enjoys your show. Like, yeah. So we're really excited. I'm so glad that, you know, you've accepted me and you've come on this platform and you've been an amazing host. I'm glad to see someone like you who is also not just involved in the media, but you're also blessing lives. Duncan is also a full-time pastor. Yeah, is that correct? Is that correct?
Yeah,
listen. Pastor in church now. So amazing. So thank you, Duncan, for being here. Thank you for being a blessing. Thank you for taking this on. I wish we could have you more and more. And I hope in the future, when I call on you again to say, Duncan, let's do this together, you'll be, you know, I'm sure you'll be happy to accept. So thank you so much, Duncan.
Appreciate you, brother. It has been an absolute pleasure to be here today with everyone. I am so impressed with everyone in the chat. Seriously, it's been an interactive session. It's so good to see all the comments come flooding through. Guys, to you who are tuning in right now, I just want to say a special thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to watch, to listen, to be a part of this. You've been a real blessing to the team here as we've shared. And we just want to say thanks to you because we know that you got busy lives as well. And so making the time to do that has been a real blessing to us. And we just want to thank you. And again, here's Wendy. And she's hosting the next session. So don't forget that one.
And the next session is going to be so powerful. I have these incredible women in leadership that have incredible stories. And we've heard so much about legacy and how to create it and what you've been born with. But in my session with these women tonight, we're going to talk about, well, what if the legacy you've been given isn't what you want to carry on? What if your generational inheritance is different? So we're going to talk about the power of self-leadership in shaping your legacy. I can guarantee it is going to be so powerful that it is going to change your life. Please don't miss it. The ladies and the people that I put together on this panel and myself, our stories are life-changing. I know. Can't wait to be with you. Be sure to invite your friends to be part of it.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, I think we should bring this to a end now. Dr. Sam, good, wonderful talk. God bless you.
Amazing today. It's been an awesome session. Thank you, Duncan. This is indeed your purpose, and you're born for this. Thank you for being a light. Thank you for shining your light. We say special thank you to DDK and to FD for those phenomenal sessions. Your words will continue to live in our hearts. I'm gonna go back and watch this again and the last session as well too. This is phenomenal. And if anyone's watching this, you're not going back to watch those videos again. I don't know what you're doing with your life, man. You need to watch this at least one more time to catch the gist.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for registering for this conference. Thank you for attending. Thank you for all our friends watching on LinkedIn, listening on radio, MixLR. Thank you all for those of you who have subscribed to the channel. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being here. And thank you because I know that you will put this into action. This is not just going to be an ordinary intellectual exercise. You're going to translate this to action. In the final keynote, which I'll be giving just after John Maxwell, I'll be talking about how to create a habit of excellence, how to create legacy habits, how to really translate all that we're learning into a daily routine that will deliver you success and significance. All right, so I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you once again. Thanks to my co-host, Wendy, and Dr. Sam, and to the anchor of the day, Duncan. It's been a great pleasure. We'll look forward to catching up with you late in the next few hours for Wendy's session. So till then, God bless you.
Bless you guys.
Bye, everyone. See you tonight
See you,
or
everyone.
tomorrow morning.